just a bloke in a bar.
Alrighty, it's time to face the music, brought to you by Sportsbet. Do not forget, give us a follow on the feed. You go to more, you go to feed, you type in Denon, give us a follow, give Hammy a follow, plus plenty of other people that you can follow on Sportsbet's feed. Copy their bets. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's face the music.
Let's do it. Just first things first, a little bit of housekeeping. I noticed a little bit of Kim Jong-Kemp coming into play last week in my absence. Different part of Asia to where I was just from, where Fumio Kishida runs a very democratic kind of process.
Yep.
And that's what I'm going to be bringing back today in regards to issuing punishments and making people follow through with them. So I'm just putting that on the table right at the top.
Yep.
All right, let's get into it though. Pretty tightly contested and one really remarkable, to be honest with you, result this week as well. So keep your eye out for that. I submitted my tips as well, just so you know, for this round. So first game, Eels 16, defeated by Souths 32. Everyone had Souths to win, so 1 point for everyone. The line was half a point, so we went big win, little win. Congrats to Rue and myself, who had the Rabbitohs 13 plus for 2 points there. On to Friday night footy, bit of an upset at Shark Park. Hopefully a sign of things to come this Friday at Shark Park as well. With
Coffs Harbour, mate, but that's all right. You're away.
Tigers heading down there. Was that?
Coffs Harbour.
Is it in Coffs Harbour?
No, it was on the weekend.
Okay. Well, anyway,
all right, mate.
an upset. Not great coverage over in Tokyo, if I'm honest, mate. I discussed that in the green room. Anyway, the point is, big upset. Sharks 16 defeated by the Titans 20. You guys all had the Sharks to win and win well. Cover the line, which they did not do. I was the only one who tipped the Titans in a boil-over. So 2 points for me.
Yeah, sure.
Broncos 6 defeated by the Panthers 14. Denon, Timmy and Matty all tipped the Broncos. Rue had the Panthers winning and covering, 2 points. So did I, 2 points as well. We had on a Super Saturday. Everyone had the Storm, so everyone gets a point. Matty and myself had the Tigers with a 13.5 start for 2 points. So there we go, 2 points for Matty and myself. Cowboys defeated...
We skipped a game, huh? Dogs Warriors.
Oh, yeah, Dogs Warriors. Thanks for picking me up, Rue. Everyone had the Dogs for a point. Rue, Matty and myself had the Wars with the 5.5 point start, so 2 points for the rest of us there, which is great stuff. To finish Super Saturday, Cowboys 20 defeated by Manly 21. Geez, the Traders are good. They had half a point as the line, so we went for the big win, little win. Den and myself correctly had Manly 1-12. Only blokes to collect any points in that one. The rest of you guys had the Cows. We get into Sunday. Chooks 42 defeat Dragons 12. Everyone had the Chooks. Timmy, Matty and myself had them to cover the 13.5. And then to bring us home, the Milk 12 defeated by the Knights 16. Everyone had the Knights 1-12 for a clean sweep of 2 points to bring us home. So here's the results. Timmy, 7 points. Denon, 8 points. Matty, 9 points. Rue, 10 points. Myself, I really have my eye in on the Shinkansen bullet train from Tokyo to Kyoto, and I put my tips in. A perfect round of 16. But there is a bit of a punishment for punishment dodger Denon. No joke last week. Complete blatant disregard of the rules. -2 points.
Oh,
yes.
no.
So that takes you back to 6 this week. So you know the rules, mate. Even though you ignored them last week, you have to give us your best gag. And if it pressure's on, because if it doesn't make us laugh, you're going to be minus points again for next week as well. So whenever you're ready.
So I got a handyman around to do the job the other day. I gave him a list. He did job 1, 3 and 5. Turns out he only does odd jobs.
Bit of a maths gag. Yes. Bit of a maths gag.
Oh, it's so good.
Anybody? No?
I was really hoping everyone was going to stay silent then just to cost him the bonus points, but Matty never stood a chance.
Yeah, Matty's probably saving there.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, man.
There you go.
Good.
You didn't want
Dad jokes are the best.
you wanted to sit on that for a week. You didn't want to do that one last week when I was away?
No, I just love dad jokes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to build the hype around
Right.
it. Because I knew I was going to say it.
Yep.
So I knew you were going to come in,
Yep.
dock me points or whatever.
Yep.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
My show. I'll be next week. I'll be here next week as well. I'll be here all year actually.
Yeah.
You're settling into this dad gig very well, mate.
Thank you.
Masterful.
Thank you.
Potentially plenty more dad jokes to look forward to, because I'm not sure if you're going to get a plus point or a minus there. I'll have to mull over that.
It makes. I just think it's funny because you didn't laugh. That makes it even funnier to me.
For what it's worth, I was doing my best because I didn't want to get any bonus points for it.
Oh, fuck. Okay. That is that Face the Music brought to you by Sportsbet. Make sure to give us a follow on the feed. Give Hammy a follow on the feed. Plus, try July. Get around it as well.
Any players out there, give us your celebrations. $5,000 for a great cause. $10,000 if they're really good celebrations. So make sure you keep them coming.
Okay, let's get to our tips.
Let's do it. All right. Thursday night footy. Dolphins $1.75. Souths $2.10. The line is 1.5 points. Denon, I'll give you the new ball.
What was the line? Sorry.
1.5.
Okay. I'm going to go Dolphins.
Yeah, I'll go Dolphins.
Dolphins.
Are you guys serious? South.
Yeah, I think South in an upset in that one. I like the price there.
Wayne Bennett coaching both teams.
Wayne v Wayne. So going to be interesting. Friday night footy. The Sharks at Shark Park, $1.22. Very short against the Tigers, $4.30. 12.5 points is the line in that one.
Sharks, Tigers.
Yeah, Sharks, Tigers.
Sharks, Tigers.
Tigers for me. Taught them a lesson in rugby league football in round 2. We're going to do it again this weekend. Gold Coast $1.58. Parramatta $2.40. 4.5 the line.
Eels. Yeah, Eels.
No Mitch Moses.
Eels.
Bold. Titans.
Titans.
I'm going Titans as well. Broncos $1.47 when they host the Dragons. $2.69. 7.5 points is the line.
Broncos.
What was it? 7.5.
Yep.
Broncos, Dragons.
We're on Dragons to win.
I'm going Dragons head to head as well. I like the price there, $2.69. The last game is Manly $1.44 when they host the Knights. $2.80. 6.5 points is the line.
Knights. Yeah, Knights.
$2.80.
They're $1.93.
Yeah, I
come
reckon
in.
that's updated a fair bit since teams, mate.
Yeah,
When's
Since
your,
KP. Yeah. I'm going Knights too.
are we like jigging that a bit, mate? Because they're bang on. We doing 1 to 12, or do you want to stick with?
Because they're $1.91,
It's changed
$1.93
up
right
a
now.
fair bit.
No, they're not.
No,
Knights are
$1.44,
$2.80.
$2.80.
Oh, on the NRL app, it's
Yeah, $1.91,
NRL apps
$1.93.
usually a little bit.
lag behind. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, Knights anyway.
So sorry, so the Knights are at 210.
$2.80.
$2.80.
280.
Yeah.
Get on that. Jimmy?
Oh, sorry, I thought it was Guru.
I'm going Knights.
Yep.
Knights. Knights.
Knights.
I'm going Knights. Can't walk past that $2.80.
Juicy.
Yep.
Juicy.
That's it.
That's it. That's Face the Music brought to you by Sportsbet. A massive thank you as always to Sportsbet. Give us a follow on the feed. Brand new feature. Incredible stuff. And Hammy, we'll see you next week, mate.
Arigato gozaimasu.
Alrighty, it's time for Team of the Week brought to you by Bloke Beer. Grab a case of Bloke Beer, the beer of rugby league. And it's beer for blokes that turn up for family, mates, and good times. Let's get into it, shall we? At number 1, plenty of good fullbacks this week. But I'll tell you what, Roosters fans, a fresh Tedesco heading into finals footy looks like a scary prospect. We're looking at Teddy at over 300 metres. I haven't seen him hit over 300 metres in a while. So, huge match. At number 2, Ryan To'o. 3, for Bo Fermor. At 4, Dan Gagai. At 5, Jason Saab. 6, Jackie Whiten. 7, Hughes. 8, Collins. 9, Mitch Kenny. 10, Barnett. 11, Katoa. 12, Crichton. 13, for the 4th or 5th week in a row, essentially, Kalamatangi. 14, Latrell. 15, Max King. 16, Curran. And 17, Tau Malolo. Who stood out for you there, boys, this game?
Mate, it was such a good weekend. It's almost who was unlucky to miss out.
Yeah, it was
Some
tough.
very good performances like Wishart, Raymond were all fantastic. Mate, Jerome Hughes for me, though. He's just on another level at the moment.
He's the best player in the competition right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, Matty said before off camera, is he going to win the Dally M medal? My first reaction was, what? But then I sat back and I thought about it. It probably fucking is.
Like, he's the Stormer on top of the table. He's been without, like, essentially all of his spine has been gone.
Yep.
And he just keeps doing the thing.
Crazy.
And it's all around him, too. Like, it's not like, usually you look at the Storm and you try to look, okay, which player had, heaps of try assists, heaps of meters, whatever, but it's all very even. Whereas with this is all around Hughes. All around Hughes.
And I mean, like, you have a look at, the other teams at the top of the ladder, like the Panthers. Like, I don't think anyone's jumped it. Like, Dylan Edwards probably been their best, but he's
been a
shared
bit
a lot of
quieter,
points
yeah.
with people. Roosters, like, they've all been fantastic. They would have shared a lot of points. Sharks, Hines hasn't had his greatest season. Jerome Hughes could have absolutely shit it.
Timmy?
Yeah, bloke who didn't actually make the starting team, but Josh Curran I thought was outstanding. Talk about just blokes having a crack. He was enormous in that game for the Doggies on the weekend, and probably break it down and go into a bit more detail when we get to the full-blown match review. But Josh Curran's going from, especially coming off one of the worst performances of his career last week in the wet, to back it up with what he did on the weekend. I thought he was terrific.
Mate, his ticker and ability just to keep going, like he might be looking gassed, like he's basically got to be subbed off, and then he'll have like 4 or 5 more runs. Like the amount of, like that forward pack, don't get me wrong, to take nothing away from the rest of the boys, but he is the heart and soul. Like he's the core of it.
You know what I love too? I reckon, was it last week or the week before? I reckon he had his worst game of his career. Last week. He had an absolute shocker and he bounced back with probably his best game of the year.
This is becoming a weekly recurrence where you just don't listen to anything I say, isn't it?
I apologise.
I tell you for the listeners how bad it's just. I call it Ruisms. So basically, I'm talking to Rue, like genuine, and the story is based around information Rue has given me. This is in the green room. And I'm talking directly to him. Mid-story, he looks up from his laptop and begins to talk to Timmy. Before the show.
That I don't apologise for. That was breaking news in the Supercoach world. So I don't regret that at all. I'll do it again tomorrow.
But I'm pretty sure you asked a question to Dennett, to which he was answering.
Yeah.
I'm 99% sure.
We were in a
I don't
conversation.
want to repeat myself. I don't apologise for that. I'll wear constantly ignoring what Tim says and repeating him. But
Curran's outstanding. Alrighty. It's time for Menulog's Hungriest Player. As always, a massive thank you to Menulog for partnering with the show. Download the app today, guys, because you get discounts every week. It supports the platform. And also, Menulog, they support rugby league. You can see now the video ref is brought to you by Menulog. They're the sponsor of the biggest sports podcast in the country. So they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're getting around rugby league content. So support Menulog. So the hungriest player this week is... It is James Tedesco. That is right. Use code Tedesco for free delivery to your door for free. Unbelievable deals. Takes 2 seconds to download the app, guys. Really easy to use. And as I said, for every time you use a code, you get a discount. Plus, that supports us. They can see that and go, all right, this partnership's doing really well. Let's extend it, all that stuff. So it's a win-win for everyone. James Tedesco, though, gets the hungriest player. Look, I tell you what, they always talk about everything needing to go right to win a premiership. And we're still ages away from it. But if you needed just one more thing to go right for Roosters specifically this year on their premiership push, it's James Tedesco not having to play Origin. You look at Nathan Cleary the last couple of series with the injuries. I know it's not good for New South Wales. Even for Cleary, it's not good. But the positive is when they hit finals footy, they are fresh and ready to go. Tedesco's going to feel like it's a breeze this year, not having to play Origin footy. Look, the Roosters, for me, they are looking in prime position for a premiership push this year, and Tedesco, being fresh during this period, has got them in the perfect spot for it.
it's a fantastic point you bring up. On top of that, they've got a bye this weekend. They've got another bye to come. Only 9 weeks left. 2 byes to come. Doesn't have to deal with Origin.
Pretty much locked in the top 4. I'd be shocked if they don't make the top 4.
Well, and that's the other beauty of it too, mate. Like I reckon they play Souths in the final week, so they won't rest players there. But there's every chance he gets another spell in around 25 or 26 because they will be locked into a top 4 spot.
Yeah, and I mean, whether you're talking about Tedesco, I think Tedesco typifies the Roosters at the moment, and it is they are just searching for blood, and they're so explosive, and they go out and get these big leads early, and so often teams, when they get a big lead, I don't know if you get complacent, but you take the foot off the throat, you're comfortable, you get home, you win by a margin. They just want to pile on the points, and the bloke leading that charge with 10, 15 to go in games is James Tedesco, and there was no better sign than on the weekend than Teddy that last 20 minutes where the game was won and done, and he just went, I want more.
How ruthless was he?
Oh, my God. And the Roosters in general, they're averaging 30.7 points per game. Second in the competition, the Storm on 27.5. Third, the Dolphins, which is mad, 24.7. But the Roosters, the way I'm seeing it at the moment, Campy, it's a Panthers-Roosters grand final.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I tell you what, we've seen the Roosters go into final series with no second chances, and that almost bites them in the bites them in the end because like they just don't get that second bite of the cherry, or they're playing finals footy from like 10 rounds into the game. Whereas this Rooster side, with 2 opportunities in final series, it's just like you might beat them once. To beat them twice, that's a tough gig.
Everything we've said about the Roosters for a couple of years now about just not clicking, it's not quite happening. They have injuries here and there, whatnot. It's just all coming together at the moment, and you sit there and like assess the heavyweights of the competition, and you know, do they have enough to beat Penrith? And you know, when they get head to head, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Right now, I'm sitting there going, that a Penrith Roosters game in finals is just going to be all time based on what we're seeing at the moment, both fully fit.
I think it'll be as good as the Broncos Penrith grand final when you look at the players on paper. When you look at if these 2 teams come out and play as well as they can, it'll be like fireworks. Like you don't look at one squad and go, oh, they're a bit weak here, or this player isn't necessarily at a top tier. You look at both squads and you go, essentially rep level teams playing each other.
Could you imagine, like, if we get that grand final, it's going to be James Fisher-Harris's last game for Penrith. You're going to have Spencer Leniu and Terrell May against the Penrith Panthers. And then Spencer Leniu will be going for his 4th premiership in a row. And
it'll be the last games for a few Roosters veterans as well.
Yeah, JWH,
Kiri, JWH, Manu.
Yeah.
I mean, Manu will be back, but yeah.
Don't know what you boys see it, but like, and I don't want to sound disrespectful to the Melbourne Storm because they're leading the way with 3 losses this year, and they're 4 clear of the Panthers, who are in 2nd place, Roosters in 3rd. But we knew, it felt like from a long time out last season there was going to be a Panthers and Broncos grand final. I'm feeling that way with the Panthers and Roosters at the moment. This year, though, of course, the Storm are that little bit closer as opposed to whoever we had 3rd this time of year behind the Broncos and Panthers. But I still feel like it's just Panthers, Roosters, and then maybe Storm gap. Like
for me, it's Panthers, Roosters, tiny gap, Storm. The only reason there's a tiny gap between the Storm and the Panthers, Roosters is because I'm yet to see Munster, Pappy, Grant, Hughes on the field. When they get on the field, they could just go to a whole nother level, and we won't. But anyway, James Tedesco, the stats for the game were a try, 2 try assists, 27 runs, 324 metres, 72 post contact, 13 tackle breaks, a line break, 2 line break assists, an offload, 4 tackles, 0 errors in that many touches as well. Use code Tedesco, TEDESCO, for free delivery on Menulog. Massive thank you to Menulog. All right, let's get into it. Just a reminder, guys, because we've done the squad reviews for Origin, it'd be a little bit shorter in the reviews for the games this year. Also, don't forget, Kaya's got you covered this footy season with every game, every round, live and ad break free during play. Some key games this week include Titans v Eels, Broncos v Dragons, which are exclusive to Fox League and available on Kaya, plus Dolphins South, Sharks Tigers, Manly Newcastle, which are live and ad break free during play. There's plenty of room for everyone, so get on board with Kaya, now also available on Hubble. South to beat the Eels, 32-16. After this game, I'm sitting there going, could they go on a run? Before this game, I was like, look, it's too much. It's too hard. After this game, I was thinking that. Then you get the Latrell news and you go, what a letdown for the game of rugby league. Imagine, whether you're a fan of the South Side or not, whether you want them to go well or not, there is nothing more exciting in club footy than a team with a superstar taking them on a run. Like, you go back to 2009 Para Eels. Like, that was some of the most crazy. You're just sitting there going, it has to end. It has to end. And then week after week after week. That could have happened with South. That's how good they're looking. When all of a sudden you've got their forward pack with Keon, with Murray, with Arrow, with Mawali going really well. So definitely a massive downer with Latrell out, but a great performance from South. And I'll be honest, I think outside of the first 15 or so minutes, or not 15, but there was about 5-minute opener, and then there was about a 15-minute period. And then after that, I felt like they were in control of the game pretty much the whole game. I thought they were outstanding.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was out there on the sideline, and to me, it just felt like Souths were never in a position where they were going to lose that game. I agree with you, mate. I walked away from that stadium going, they could go on a run. I walked away thinking they are going to go on a run. The Latrell news was just devastating. Obviously, we've spoken about Keon Coleman-Tungy moving into that lock role. He's been tremendous. Trell Mitt coming back into the side's been great. I'll tell you what, I reckon Jack Whiten, the way he just straightens up the attack, he's made such a big difference to this side.
Yep. And I think we all kind of got a bit caught up in, he's definitely not a 6 because at the Raiders, it didn't, like, It did work out. You got to grand final. But you could see, like, he didn't feel as comfortable with it. But then I go back, well, hang on a sec. That's because he's in a spine, no disrespect, but it's not even close to the spine of the South. And you go, well, maybe in a spine with Damien Cook, Walker, Latrell, he can be a 6 because he doesn't have to worry about any of that because it's all taken care of by the other boys there. He has totally straightened up their defence. Totally straightened up their attack and also his defence as well, shooting up out of the line. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, without saying all the most basic analysis of all time, it is what it is with Jack White. And the bloke can just run, and he's one of the most dynamic ball runners in the NRL. You don't overcomplicate it, and you let him run.
Get the ball in his hands as much as possible.
You almost just don't give him a position. You just let him go.
Yeah, it's like without overcomplicating things. Like you can imagine him as like a lock forward where you just say, "Mate, get out there and run, run the footy." And he said where he doesn't have to be a key creator for the team, not even creator. Organiser. You just don't want the bloke having to organise anything, and at times you probably had to do a little bit more of that than he had to at the Raiders, but we saw on the weekend he scored 2 terrific tries just running the ball, running hard, running straight. Good luck tackling him one-on-one, and he was brilliant in this.
And if you put him one wider into centres, you've got to get more passes to get him the ball, whereas I want him around the ruck, close to the ruck, so that as soon as he sees something, he's close enough to do something about it. Whereas if he's out at centre, he's got to pick his moments. He's got to be like, all right, I'm coming in for a wide and set, it might not just work in that set. Mate, if you ever wanted a lesson in, if your team's struggling, get your best players in key positions and just give them the fucking ball. They'll sort it out. The Souths are a lesson in that.
There was one moment in this game where Will Pensini actually put a really good shot on him, on Jack White. It was about 15 metres, and the contact was... I haven't seen Jack get hit like that before. And when they got back up, Will Pensini was sort of laughing and giggling. You could just see on Jack's face, he just went...
Yeah,
don't
he loves
fuck
it
with me.
He loves it.
And then he scored that great try, and he was. But
I think
Will
Pensini
should get a bravery medal.
He got him twice, though, didn't he? Because he bumped him at the end of the game too, didn't he? Was that Pensini that bumped him? I'm pretty sure it was.
I don't know. Yeah, I was out there.
I'll tell you what, if you ever wanted to know
one
how
shot he got on him, it was incredible.
Mate, Pensini in contact, pound for pound, like compared to how big he is, to how strong he is wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild.
You almost because I was up close watching. You almost saw Jack when he stood up. Go, who the fuck was that?
So good.
And just you did touch on it briefly, Campy, but just what it does defensively for him to get him one in, defending that 3-man. Their defensive edge has been so much better, among a lot of other things. But because they've been chopping and changing between that second half, a lot of who have been smaller bodies throughout the year, just such easy targets for opposition attacks. And Jack, probably the best defensive edge in the game, or half in the game. Give him to Till Brown.
Latrell Mitchell, outstanding. And we spoke about on the weekend, and I was said, like, look, I'm being super nitpicky here, but there was a try where Latrell probably could have chased him behind that didn't. Then you find out that he has a friggin' Liz Frank injury, and he got it in the first half, he played on. With that in mind, with how Latrell played with that injury, it takes his game to an even higher level in how he played. I haven't seen Latrell that energetic and willing to just do everything that he possibly can to get his team a win in a very long time. And there was one key moment for me that I just go, and he did this with a Liz Frank injury that needs surgery. So this is where his mindset is right now. Knowing Wayne's coming, Ben Hornby clearly knows how to get the right stuff out of him. The environment in the South has improved. But it was actually, there's 5 minutes into the second half. So remember, he needs surgery on his foot. He has a try saver on the line. He immediately gets up and sprints to help defuse a Moses kick. And then basically, I think he had a hit up after that. Latrell Mitchell, 10, 12 weeks ago, he wasn't doing that. He was doing the try saver, but then he was saying, look, I shouldn't have to do everything around here. Like, that's someone else's job. Whereas he's saying now, no, it's my job to get wins. I thought Latrell's game for me, like, one of his... We've seen him have better 80 minutes in regards to flick passes and try assists or whatever. But when it comes to what I want to see from Latrell, it's honestly one of the best games I've seen from him in a few years.
The intent was there from the warm-up. It was interesting at the end of the game, Latrell shook hands and then he went straight up the tunnel. And part of me thought, okay, he might be going home for a couple of days before he has to go into Origin camp. He's going to be ready to go. Little did I know, the polar fucking opposite. And he knew there was something wrong there.
I was going to say, for the listeners, Latrell, when it comes to fan engagement and staying around for the fans, I would honestly say he's number one in the competition.
Yeah, which was very unusual. And he went off straight away. I'll tell you what, though, just being on the sideline there, geez, the rest of the South Sydney boys were good. Like Cody Walker and all the boys.
It's a good crew, man.
It's a very good crew. Cody Walker, the amount of time he spent with kids after the game, Cam Murray was the same. They're an impressive group, the South Sydney Rabbitohs.
It's like, it's so, like, because obviously I know Cody and I really like him and I'd consider him a friend. And if you see Cody off the field, I know audience don't like to hear this because, like, fuck off, Kempy. We see him play and he's angry, and I actually think he's turned that down quite a bit. And all the stuff that happens on a footy field, it's similar to a Luai situation. Couldn't be more polar opposite. Hargreaves is a similar situation. These guys are such genuine, nice guys that do so much for the fans of their team. And Cody Walker is one of those guys as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Latrell Mitchell, I thought he was outstanding. Some more guys that I thought were really good for South. Keon Kolomatangi. Now, I know he got interviewed and he kind of alluded to maybe wanting to go back to the edge. Keon Kolomatangi, right now, is the form forward in the competition. That's how good I reckon he's playing. I reckon he's been, on average over the last 5 weeks, the best forward in the competition. He has been unbelievable. Maybe he does want to go back to an edge. I never want to see him on an edge again. And that's not to suggest that I don't think he's a bloody good edge. He's an origin edge. He played really well game 3 last year. I just think if he stays in the middle and he keeps playing like that, bro, you ever want to be on $1 million, that's how you're going to get $1 million if you keep playing like that.
Sounds like he wants to be back on an edge, though. Like his words, it sounds like he's very keen to get back out there. I agree with you, mate. I think he's one of the best forwards in the competition right now, and he has, like, it's been a month. It hasn't been 2 weeks.
He's been phenomenal. And mate, if you want to earn $1 million in this new salary cap or whatever, it's not going to be on an edge. Like, you're not going to bounce. If you want to be re-signed either at the South or somewhere else as a key middle forward that makes 200 plus meters a game and blah blah blah, you might be able to get close to $900 to $1 million.
If you're looking at money as well, it's also his ticket to Origin because with the back rows we've got at the moment, it's a tough nut to crack. And
imagine him and Payne Haas in the middle there.
Yeah. I just don't understand the whole situation because as soon as Cam Murray was named on the edge and he stayed in the middle, I'm like, sweet, they've made their decision. Keon is a middle. And then for him to come out and say that he's wanting to play on the edge still, it makes no sense to me.
Well, what I think, and look, I'm just speculating here, it's tough on the body. Like, a big boy like that shouldn't be able to get through the work that he gets through. So I think it's going to take him time to be able to adjust to the work rate. And being on an edge as a forward like him, it's a much more enjoyable experience. You get to come in, take your hit-ups, but then you get the flashy stuff on the edge. But so I can understand where he's coming from there.
Yeah, I just feel like if he's listening to those quotes, that sort of stuff, it sounds like, he wants to get back to an edge maybe at some stage. But the Bunnies, by putting Cam Murray there, says to me they've made their decision. If that was the case and you want to get back to the edge, like Cam Murray would have played lock and Keane would have played edge on the weekend. I'm confused by it all.
I wouldn't be moving him, and I wouldn't be giving him a choice.
Neither would I.
You know what I'd be doing? I'd be basically going, mate, like, all right, I get it. It's going to take time to get used to the washing machine of the middle. Let's get a few kegs off you so it's easier for you. Because we have to, I know people like to think, oh, he's a footy player. He should just go in and play anywhere and love it. And they're like, there are nuances that matter. He's not just a normal size kind of foot. He's a big boy.
The one I don't get, his last 5 games since moving to lock. 69 minutes, 80, 61, 80, 80. If he really doesn't want to do it, and this is not so much a knock on him, more the Bunnies, but play him 60 minutes. Like, he doesn't have to play 80 in the middle.
Just to be clear, I don't think that there's a difference between I want to play the edge and I don't want to play in the middle. You know what I'm saying? I think that you can say, look, I'm happy to play in the middle, but I'll prefer to play on an edge. So I don't think he's sitting there going, oh, fuck, I've got to play in the middle again. Yeah. I think he's just going, look, in a perfect world, in a good side, I'd love to be out there on the edge. I think he's an out-and-out middle. I think he can be one of the best forwards in the comp. Drop a few kilos. Can you imagine him with a full preseason in the middle, training to be in the middle? He will fucking destroy teams.
Yeah, and if Keon's looking for the biggest start of all, I'm just having a look at Timmy's screen. 5 W's next to those games in South Sydney.
Mate,
it's not a coincidence.
Exactly. We talk about Cody Walker, Latrell Mitchell, Jackie Whiten's importance in these wins. Keon is just as important through the middle there. So, look, I totally, having played footy and understanding, the nervous nature of changing positions, but also how banged up your body gets and how it takes you a time to acclimatise to it, I get why he would be like, in a perfect world, I just want to enjoy it out there, score the tries. But once he acclimatises to it, gets his body right to suit what his job in the middle is, mate, fuck, he's so good in the middle.
And I think as well, if they can play him in jersey 13, Cam Murray's just putting his body through so much, and I know that South Sydney are aware of that, and they've wanted him to sort of play a little bit on the edge for a long time. It allows them to do that.
I thought we would get blown up on Packer Up Boys. We were going, what the hell, Cam on the edge? I thought we've learned our lesson. Put Keon in front row, blah, blah, blah. But when the game actually, they ended up playing, I love what they did. 20 minutes on an edge, keep him out of the shit stuff, and then bring him into the middle.
Yep.
Quick play the balls, because I don't want, Cam Murray is too important to me as a club to put him through the shit stuff. Anytime I'll send a minimum contract battler out there to do the shit stuff. And I know that sounds harsh to say. It's just the nature of the beast. Like, you want to protect your assets. So I actually really, as long as they keep that rotation of like out, and what I like about it as well is, so what happened in the first half? The Eels had a lot of field position early on for the first 20 minutes. If Cam Murray isn't on an edge, maybe they do score 6 points or 12 points because he's such a good defensive ever. So in the first 20 minutes where you really want to win that battle and be good defensively, he's perfect for an edge because he's a really good communicator and he's a really good defender, laterally, decision-wise, everything. So I loved it. I thought tell you what, Ben Hornby's stocks, going through the roof.
Wouldn't a guy like Keon, like obviously, he's going great, and the team I'm going to talk about, their forward pack has overachieved, done really well this year, Canterbury. But imagine him going into that pack there, like as their marquee forward. I think I know he played for the Mascot Jets growing up, but actually he played a bit in the Canterbury system as well. Keon,
yeah,
out that way. So
he just extended at the end of last year, didn't he?
Yeah,
I think he's till 2027.
If he hit the open market right now,
he'd be worth a squillion.
Yeah, 2026.
2026.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, now onto the Eels. Compared to where they were a few weeks ago, substantially better. The concern I have is if they keep losing games and they end up at the bottom of the table and Mitchell Moses goes up to Suncorp and he wins a series, the tension between a guy that Mitchell Moses that's 27, 28 years old and wanting to win premierships, I think it's going to be a real concern for the Eels moving forward, where he's going to start demanding, hey, like, I'm here to win comps and I'm on the bottom of the table right now. I can't really do much more. I'm doing my part as a player. I think you need to do your part as a club. Now, we've heard things come out. That was kind of the gist of his issues in the changing room. They got leaked. I can't believe it got leaked. That's crazy. Now, Riles has been appointed coach of the Eels. But I think, obviously, I always believe players should honour their contracts. Always. Unless both parties discuss it with each other and say, you know what, let's mutually part ways. But I do think Mitchell Moses does have a bit of a leg to stand on to say, I'm doing my part. I think you need to do your part as well.
Completely agree. Isn't it unbelievable that the team coming last in the NRL can have a fullback of Gutho, Dill Brown at 6, Mitch Moses at 7?
Crazy.
Like there's teams with worse spines in the top 8 and they're dead last.
It's genuine. And then you got 2 front rows that are Origin front rows as well.
It's crazy where Parramatta find them. You got the Origin, and then you've also got like Maddo, Bryce Cartwright. I know that Hopgood's out at the moment, but there's, like Bryce hasn't played Origin, but there's 3 of those guys at that sort of level. And Sean Lane, he wasn't far away from playing for the Kangaroos.
Mate, he was nearly in the bloody extended squad. So this is the starting pack on the weekend. RCG, Paulo, Madison, Cartwright, Lane.
Like, you've literally got Joe O, who's played Origin, coming off the bench. The scary thing for me was, though, mate, that young Charlie Geimer making his debut, he looks sensational.
Ripping. Absolutely ripping and tearing.
He was playing in the SG Ball Grand Final just last year, and he comes in and looks at home in game 1.
What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, I mean, the shots in that of Mitchie Moses coming out and blowing up in the sheds of teammates, I think there was a blow up on field and that, and he was a little bit maligned for it. People saying, oh, what a dick. Like, that was a bit rough and that. I love it, personally. I'm like, the dude's there in a team, bottom of the table, or the 16th at the moment, equal on 12 points with the Tigers. He's there to win, and he's given his all. I love it. I'm like, the NRL isn't for everyone. You need to have that dog about you and wanting to win everything. All the best athletes do that.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. And if your team's coming third or whatever, and you're doing that, it's like, mate, relax a little bit. You're coming last.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all for it.
Especially in a 7 jersey.
Yeah,
100%.
That's your job.
Yeah.
Get everyone up. Keep people accountable. Mitchie's been playing great footy. It's not like he's been bad and you're, mate, who are you to call us, battlers or whatever. He's playing largely great footy. So, yeah, I'm all for Mitchie blowing up. And Eels are so fascinating. I think, as it stands, equal last, they're one of the best teams I've ever seen that are coming equal last. I look at that lineup and go, they can beat any team in this competition on their day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Isn't it just once again just how important all the off-field stuff is?
Yeah.
And that's why I keep going back to it. But I think since that grand final, or at least in that grand final year, I do believe that playing squad has been. I don't believe the administration has done their job as well as they could have, in my opinion. And I know some people like to go, oh well, during that final year we re-signed a bunch of players and whatever. But I understand that. But clearly the squad retention and everything and salary cap balance and that, it's clearly out of whack. Whether you agree, like, for example, if you've got let's say you've got RCG and Paolo each on 900K, and that's what's smashing your salary cap. Well, that's a bad decision. You need to make the tough call of either one, and saying to both of them, boys, like, we can't have you on both big coin. And I don't even know if they are. I'm looking at it going, there has to be a reason why their depth is like so poor. It has to be because it's a top-heavy salary cap, and that's not the players' fault. The players are going to get, they're going to take what they can get. But as I said, let's just assume for a minute that the both front rowers are on too much money, and that's why they can't get depth in their forward pack. Well, that's when you need to go. Either RCG or Junior. Unfortunately, mate, we just can't afford to have the cash to carry both years. Help them find somewhere else, or other positions. If there's other players that are on massive coin. I'm just choosing those two. I don't know if that's actually the case, but like if you've got other players on massive coin that it's just not working, you need to start making adjustments, because at the moment, since that grand final, their squad management has been really, really poor in my opinion.
Yeah, well, speaking of top heavy, mate, I think we've spoken a lot this season about, and even on today's show, about the more mobile forward pack and the smaller pack and the impact it's having in the game, and the Bulldogs are the one who are the standouts for this at the moment. Is the pack too big? Like, you look at middle threes of Campbell Gillard, Joe Offengowie, Junior Bolo, three very big boys. And this is a Parramatta side who they've been on a demise in the last couple of seasons, despite on paper having a terrific side, particularly their spine.
See, I reckon RCG and Paolo, when they're on, I reckon they're great. I actually reckon it's the rotation that kills Para. As soon as those guys leave the field, they go from like an 8 out of 10 side to like genuinely 4.
And individually, I agree. RCG and Junior Bolo, they've both played good footy the last couple of years, but as a pack together, are they too big? Are they too slow through the middle? Do they not have the lateral movement?
Well, that's why I liked when they started the year and they were bringing Junior off the bench. Just like my same critique of the Tigers, which they've addressed, is having Stefano and Clemmer on at the same time. They're too big. You have one big bopper on and you bring the other, and so you don't drop as much. But they've clearly gone away from that.
You even look at Sean Lane, who's now playing middle. In one sense, you'd go, he's an edge back row and has been for the majority of his career, a more mobile one, but he's a big boy. So it's, I sort of look at it and go, maybe they just need to just reshape their forward pack a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to see their salary cap. Like, here's another, bizarre thing: the 8-year contract, Dylan Brown, and his ability, basically every 2 years he can look elsewhere or something like that. I don't understand how that's good. And people go, well, okay, hang on a sec. If they had lost Dylan Brown, you'd be blowing up at the Eels. But at the end of the day, if I had to choose between giving this weird 8-year contract and keeping Dylan Brown and not, I think, unfortunately, you probably have to make that tough call and go, mate, we want you here. Here's a good wicket of a contract, but it's a 3 or 4 year deal. I just think you look at all the best squads. Do any of them have these long contracts like that? Weird 8-year deals and that?
Fair, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a few on the back end of it that are almost done, and that's obviously DC and Taumalolo. They're sort of getting towards the end of it, but...
Well, like, for example, DCE, although he's been great, Manly haven't had any success in that period.
Yeah.
You look at Taumalolo, pretty good for the first 4 or 5 years, but that's been a big talking point of the last couple of years. Tino has just re-signed with the Titans. We'll see how that goes. Now you can understand where Titans are coming from. They're a club that like literally desperately needed to keep Tino. Whereas I don't think the Eels were in that position where they're like so desperate they need to give out these crazy. And from a player's perspective, get your money, bro.
Lock and load.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm fully supportive of it. I just personally think that the players and that playing squad have been let down a little bit by their squad management over the last few years. Look, and that's not me pretending like, the Eels have made all these crazy decisions. I don't understand why they have made these decisions. I get it. Like, you can't keep everyone, and I get all that. I totally do. But at the end of the day, just their depth, like the fact that they didn't have someone ready to come in when Mitchell Moses got injured, or they did, but they refused to play him. And then this 9 role has been a thorn in their, like, forever.
Yep.
These are key positions. And then, like, even last year, they're talking about, well, Gutho, we need to play with more X factor at fullback. Like, just all these things that I feel like that's not under the players' control. The players they're going to ask for as much as they can get. And, yeah, sure, they might talk to each other and get pay cuts, but it's up to the club to manage the roster a bit better.
And even this, like, Jason Rowell situation, like, I can't wait to see how he goes, but you're still bringing in a rookie coach to this club that is constantly under the microscope. And I know first grade coaching jobs don't come along very often, but geez, it's going to be a big test for Jason Rolls.
It's a massive test,
especially when you got this. Like, there's no excuses in this squad.
Well, the starting squad, I do think their depth.
Sure,
like, their starting 13 for me is fantastic. I just think their depth just kills them.
But if if you get your first coaching gig and you walk into a rep spine, it doesn't get much better than that. Not many coaches get that.
So it's a good thing?
Oh, I think it's a good thing, but it puts pressure on Riles immediately.
Sure.
You have to get results. This team was in a grand final 2 years ago with this spine. Mitch Moses has gone to another level. Dill Brown seems to be playing better footy. You've got the forward pack. It's a very interesting one.
I mean, I've said it for so long now, but it's just that the bench they had and the depth they had in that grand final year was just so good. And I get it. The depth gets offered these big contracts. I just think if they could have just tweaked a few things here or there. Because, like, for example, Isaiah Papali'i. By the end of the year, there was talks that they actually did have enough money to keep Isaiah, and there was talks of backflips and that. So that suggests to me is poor roster management that kind of... Anyway, so hopefully they can sort it out. The positive is they're playing better footy than they were 12 weeks ago or so, but I think the administration probably needs to take a bit of accountability. And they probably are. But I think a bit of accountability in regards to the last few years, in my opinion. And also the players. Definitely the players as well. Anything else, boys?
No.
Okay, on to the next game. Titans defeat the Sharkies 20-16. Look, first of all, the Titans, you just don't know what's going to turn up. You don't know what's going to turn up. Like, sometimes they turn up and they're so gritty and tough. You're going, you guys are almost similar to the Dolphins. Like, you're just tough as anything. You refuse to give in. Your defense is outstanding. And it just happened to be that version of the Titans rocked up. In regards to the Sharks, a mixture of two things. Did the ref give them absolutely nothing? Yes. Like, it was a tough night to be a Sharkies fan. The ref, for whatever reason, just anything close to a 50-50, they were not getting close to it. And also just some missed opportunities. So really good win from the Sharkies. Really good win from the Titans. Sharkies getting a bit of speed wobbles for me and getting a little bit concerned, but I think they've just got to try as hard as they can to not let this situation that they're in right now rattle them, because it's not like they're going out there getting absolutely blitzed and just pumped off the park, but it is beginning to get concerning that they're giving these massive starts away, but also they get to this period of the year and they just go straight off a cliff.
The Titans are a tipping nightmare. I have no idea what I'm going to get to week with them. And, like, you have a look at these two squads. Like, the Titans are missing, 3 of their best 5 players?
Craziness.
It's insane. Keeney at fullback, he's been tremendous. I've been so impressed with him. He's... Like, saw him playing in junior grades and highlights and all that, and sort of thought, geez, I don't know if it's going to translate to NRL. But not only does it translate to NRL, it translates to the NRL week to week.
I've got a note here. Like, young fellas that are a bit smaller... if you're a young fella right now coming through the grades, everyone tells you how small you are. Watch Kinney, because just because you're small doesn't mean you can't win the ruck with 1-out carries. Speed is a better weapon than size. 10 runs in 27 minutes, and he's got the most meters of anyone in the game. And so if you're a young fella or you have a young fella that is constantly getting told, he needs to bulk up, he needs to get this. Size doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win contact and win ruck. And I think Kinney is such a good example of using his speed to win contact. Yeah, granted, sometimes does he get catched and dragged back a little bit? Sometimes. But most of the time, because he's so brave and he uses his speed as a weapon in contact, similar to Pappy, Similar to Umla Small Boys, if you're a young fella or a girl, watch Kinney play.
And for a similar example, if you're a slightly undersized forward, mate, I reckon Chris Randall, the way that he just where he positions his body and the spots that he gets himself into, he's been such a good signing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been outstanding.
Yeah, to that point, Kempy, you got some of the best tackle busting years of all time without having the stats in front of me. Anthony Milford at fullback for the Raiders when he was tiny, even to a lesser degree, but Josh Dugan, when he first started, he was quite small, string bean. Unbelievable tackle busting. Benny Barber at his smallest, tackle busting. You know, it's funny because like I feel like we speak about it all the time, but clubs try and beef them up. I'm just like, the value you get out of these elite fullbacks that are a little bit small and may give or take a few things out of not so much yardage, because I'm with you, they make good meters and they bust tackles, maybe defensively on their line, and they beef them up. I just don't like it. I'm like, they're freakish talents. Leave it that way, and if you sacrifice a little bit in defence on your line, gee, what they do in attack is unparalleled. And we're seeing it with Kinney right now.
Yeah, you're seeing it with Kinney. And so you're going to have coaches tell you, you got to be big to win the contact. You're going to start doubting yourself. But you've actually got a weapon that the big blokes wish they had. Every single big bloke wishes he was fast. And not only can speed win your contact, it can also break games open, it can also score tries. So just take it out of your head that you have a disadvantage because you're little. You have an advantage because you're little. You're fast. The game's getting quicker as well. And there are so many examples. Like Reece Walsh, there's not much of Reece Walsh. And yet he tears teams apart. I mean, Reece Walsh, not much of him. He took his hit up in his first Origin game, ran straight at Payne Haas in the Origin forwards, and he got to his front through pure speed. So he's definitely someone to watch. And the game is, as the years go on, it's only ever going to lean more and more towards the smaller player because obviously the contact, we're looking at certain things and HIAs, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I agree with you, Rue. I think Kinney's been absolutely phenomenal.
Imagine the world where the Titans beat a top 4 team and Fafita runs for 120 metres.
Yeah.
You said it, trying to tip him.
Yeah.
I have no idea each week what this side's going to throw up. And then just as they start to be consistent in one way or another, whether that's winning games or losing games, they do the complete opposite.
What about how they forced 6 dropouts in the first half?
I was going to say, Tanner Boyd's kicking game was phenomenal, and obviously Foz, but Tanner Boyd's kicking game was like, and that's why I want to speak about when we get to the Sharkies, but like, is Hines' calf still giving him troubles? Because like Trindle has essentially completely taken over their kicking game. Yeah. Well, not completely, but he kicks a lot.
I spoke about it in the preseason a little bit. This halves pairing, they have just not found their feet.
Nico's first kick of the game was in the 40th minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is. We spoke about it via message as well. It was in the group chat. This Trindle Hines, we'll get to it, but it doesn't seem clicking. Okay, back to the Titans. I thought Tanner Boyd's kicking game was outstanding. Obviously, Foz I thought was really good. With that try, so Kinney slides in with his legs, and they knock it on, and the video ref literally said it's legal. Some of the lines like Kinney slides in legs, that's a legal challenge. I'd love someone that does know. I thought that was outruled ages ago, sliding in with your legs.
Wasn't it Billy Slater? Didn't it start around Slater leading with the legs years ago? I'm saying, in my eyes, I thought that was a penalty every day of the week.
Back in the day, I promise you, it used to be an automatic 1 week suspension. Yeah. There was a period where it was a 1 week suspension.
I reckon it started around Billy Slater because he'd do it almost just like a defensive tactic and trying to like get across and get underneath him, knock the ball out, whatever.
Put it this way, I as a former soccer player, I naturally, when someone's diving for a try, I'm naturally sliding in trying to kick that ball out. I just feel like I would naturally do it, not because I'm trying to hurt anyone. It's just the only way you're going to get that ball out or stop them from scoring is trying to put your feet under it. Like, you're not going to dive head first because you're not going to, are you going to put your head under the ball? It's not going to happen.
Did you rate your slide tackle back in the day, mate?
That was all right, mate. Had a good
Were you
block
known for your slide?
You know what's funny is like I was known as like an aggressive soccer player, but like an aggressive soccer player is not an aggressive footy player. If you're aggressive in soccer, you're basically a cat in rugby league.
One of the great unexplored topics, and we'll get more to it over time, but it's just your soccer career. It fascinates me so much. Needs to be more chat about it.
So really confused about that. I thought the Nico Hines, I think it was the inside ball. I didn't think that was forward.
I just didn't see that, Guru. May have screwed over my Supercoach team.
It's a sore point.
Okay.
Real sore point,
Apologies, mate.
The less said about Nico, the better in this one.
Okay. Also, just quickly with Nico, there's been reports that he actually talked down someone suicidal on a bridge over the weekend, What an incredible bloke, you know. Stars like this, guys, I don't think you understand how important they are to the game by bringing in the wider mainstream audience. And so, you know, I know people like to be critical of Hines because he's having a bit of a tough time form-wise. But, mate, he is a legend of a bloke and also an incredible rugby league player. So,
I'm pretty sure I said a week ago his downfall that he's too good a bloke. Well,
yeah,
there you go.
He's such a good bloke. So
when you say too, like out of form, like, mate, he's that far away from being in form too. Like
he's not that bad either.
He's not that bad. He's not.
He's just so good when he's on. You know,
Yeah.
he basically can lead his side to not a minor apprenticeship, but like top of the table. But anyway, shout out to Nico. He's such a good man to have in the game. Such a legend. But yeah, back to the Titans. I just think that first 20 minutes, their completion rate, where they were essentially 9 from 9. I think the Sharkies were 53%. The kicking game, they played exactly to what their kind of roster could play. You know, high completion, very conservative kind of play, and they got the job done. What do you? Who stood out for you from the Titans? Both of them?
Yeah, both of them was very good. I thought he was. I thought he might be a sniff at a extended spot for Queensland.
Yep.
I thought he was a little bit.
I'm surprised he hasn't even been brought into the bloody.
How's he in the squad?
He was there a couple of years ago.
Is that maybe why he's already had the experience?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, but yeah, I think he's been playing good enough footy to be there. Already gave him a little shout out, mate. But I thought Chris Randall was very good. Foz as well. He's just ageless, Foz.
Man, if he could just be injury free, like lock him in, like re-sign him, keep him at the club for as long as you can.
I found it fascinating, boys, with Tanner Boyd coming back into the team, and I thought Foran would go back to the left and Tanner would play right where they did at the start of the year, and I think all the time they've played together, we've spoken about it a lot, but Foran just unlocked Fafita, and they kept it that way, and granted Foran has played exceptional footy on the right edge, but I do think we've seen Dave Fafita, certainly in attack, go downhill big time since that shift has happened. Really surprised to see him keep Foran on the right, and maybe they're sitting there preparing, going, right, Jaden Campbell's back next week, and for whatever reason, Campbell is just far more suited to the left. Maybe it's that, Roo, but...
You'd have to assume that's what it is, because even for just a one-off game, I don't know why you wouldn't put Foz back there.
Well, you look at Fafita, he had 19 runs, 18 were hit-ups. So, like, he's basically just rucking it up.
Yeah.
Which is what you don't want.
Before Foz arrived on the Gold Coast, that was our biggest thing with Fafita. He's never put in good spots.
It's happened last few weeks.
I don't know. Is this kid from Union? Can he play this year, or is it?
He's in the squad, I think.
He's in the squad, yeah.
Be interesting to see if their season is over, like they can't make the A, whether they just go, mate, just come in. We don't care how bad you go, just get experience.
Jeez, that's exciting.
Yeah. If I'm Titans, I'm doing that.
Why not? What do you got to lose?
Yeah. Okay, on to the Sharkies. We spoke about it via text in the group chat. This Hines-Trindall combination, I'm just not sure that it's clicking, or it just may never click. It just doesn't seem to be working. You can see they're frustrated, and certain things like, you know, it looks to me like Hines wants certain things to happen and they don't. I do think that they may need to start considering Atkinson getting that 6 jersey for good.
I just think they need to... I don't know if they can do it or not if they see... if Trindall sees himself more of a number 7 and needs to get a lot of touches, but...
I think he does. I think he sees himself as a 7.
And maybe he is.
Well, he did come through the grade as a 7.
Maybe he is, but this is Nico Hines' team. He needs a lot of ball. When Nico plays, it's his team, it's his style. He gets lots of touches and he's in control. He just doesn't have that at the moment, and I wonder... Can they say to Braden Trindall, mate, you've got to try and take a back seat, and this is Nico's team, not your team? If Braden Trindall has it in him to do that and play second fiddle, or if they just have to go, we've got to get Daniel Atkinson back in because he will play second fiddle to Nico.
I don't know if Trindall can do it. I really don't.
There was a period there where I thought they had really clicked. And look, it's pretty unfair on Trindall because it's not like he's shocking or whatever.
Trindall hasn't been bad.
No.
He's just taking away from what we know Nico can
Nico's
do.
team.
Yeah.
You know, and so I agree with you, Guru. I reckon it's just not in him. Like, he's an out-and-out 7. It's kind of like Sam Walker.
Yep.
You know, you try to chuck him at 6 because he's got this incredible tackling ability, but these guys, they from grade under 6s or whenever, under 5s, whenever you play, all the way through to grade, it's been their team. And I don't know if he has it in him to say, I'm a 6.
You know, I said it last year when Matt Moylan signed to leave. Like, you sort of appreciate the role that he played. He's got his downfalls 100%, but at least he's able to go, okay, I know my role.
Yeah.
I'll sit on this left edge. I'll wait till I'm needed, and I'll let Nico run the show.
Matt Moylan was so good at his role that unless you were watching closely, sometimes you didn't even know he was on the field.
And people would always go, it's a negative. It's like, okay, but if you want to lean into Hines so heavily, you need a 5'8" that's willing to fall on his sword like that to some extent.
Jerome Luai, to Nathan Cleary. He does that exact thing and just knows his place. Like, how frustrating must that be for Jerome Luai going, as we've seen recently, I can be out number 7 to get the team around the park, be the bloke that gets a lot of touches, but we said he selfishly sits there, plays his role, gets less touches because of Nathan Cleary, and it works.
Yeah. And you look at Jerome Luai, he wasn't always second fiddle to Nathan Cleary coming through the grades. He was the guy in his age group. Like Matt Moylan, captain Penrith at 22. He was the guy as well, but just understands to play his role. Atkinson would be my 5'8". I think it's the better way for them to go. Because,
out and out, he is just going to be second fiddle to Hines. And, as I said, it's almost a bit unfair on Trindle because it's like, well, he's not playing that bad at all. But this is Hines' team through and through. Like, the only way they go deep in the finals is if Hines is killing it and has the reins.
And is your man playing at the moment, Matty? Cade Dykes? Is he?
No, he's gone for the season.
He's gone for the year.
Is he?
The other week. Can't take a trick, can he?
That'd be a nice little combo, I reckon.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe he sticks with it. I do think they got to pull the trigger sooner rather than later because the finals is, I know it's still 10 weeks away or whatever, but it comes quickly. And I do feel like a couple of years ago they left it a little bit too late. So, yeah, I think that they may need to have a look at that. I think their kicking game, like Hines, 5 kicks, 111 metres. Trindle, 7 kicks, 197 metres. It's like that's nowhere near some of the top tier. And granted, their completion rate for a lot of the game was really poor. They fought it back up to 70%, but at one point it was down to 53%. Just that first 20 minutes, they got to sort that out. They need to sort that out. Otherwise, this is going to keep happening.
Half time, the error count was 9-1.
They've lost
9-1.
Yep.
Lost 5 of their last 6, the Sharkies.
Yep. And these are some of the errors they make are just so pedestrian. You're just going, what? Anyway, yeah, look. Oh, one little thing, just back on Kinney. I got to say it. Just got to stop laying down. Just got to stop laying down. Like, I understand getting penalties or whatever, but look, if you get hit and you're trying to get the penalty, but some of them he's laying down like when he doesn't even get hit. It just limit it. I understand you're doing what's best for your team and get the penalty is all that matters, but at the same time it can become a point where, like, I think it was like 3 times where he laid down where he clearly wasn't hurt, clearly wasn't injured. Just got to... He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it
because he's got serious potential to be a poster boy for fans.
And he's tough.
He's tough. He doesn't,
It's not like he's soft. He's tough as. He runs hard. He tackles hard. Yeah, just got to stop laying down.
Especially this Titan side, like, they are just all momentum when they're flowing. They can't afford to be.
Like, a little thing, like, everyone talks about Hines not being clutch. 4 minutes to go. The game was on the line. He kicked it from essentially the sideline. It's not going to get remembered. They didn't win the game, but just an example. Like, it was a high-pressure moment, and he nailed it. Sharks, 8 minutes to go. All of a sudden, they're way more intense than the Titans. Just shows you that they're taking the piss and need to have better standards, and I think that's true. Like, the last 20 minutes, all of a sudden, their intensity is through the roof, and they are dominating the Titans. That suggests to me that they're coming into games going, oh, this will just happen for us, and it's going to work or whatever. No, they need to go into the game with that intensity. The first 20 need to be that intensity. Yeah. Anything else, boys?
And I can't remember who the shot was on, but that tackle that Talakai put on in the first half.
The head high.
Oh, my God.
I think it was on, not Randall. Maybe Randall? No. Anyway. Or Tanner? Anyway. Fuck. So he's missing 2 weeks, I think? 2 or 3 weeks?
Surely. That was a bad one.
Yeah. It was tough.
Yeah, facing 1 to 2. I think it might be 2 to 3.
Okay.
All right. Anything else with the Sharkies, boys?
No.
Okay, Panthers defeat the Broncos 14-6. Look, I think this is a great game for both teams. I think that both teams can walk away from this going, we played high-quality footy. A Panthers side, let's say they're both full strength and Panthers beat Broncos 14-6. I think you'd just be sitting there going, pretty good result. The fact that the Broncos, they were missing, obviously, Katoni, missing a few starters. Ricky, obviously Reynolds. So they were a little bit more depleted, the Panthers, not by too much, but a little bit more depleted. I really think the Broncos can walk away from that and go, we played a bloody good game of footy. We completed high for most of it, or at least to begin with. A 77% completion rate compared to an 80%, which for a Broncos team, if you're around the 77%, it's a win. So I think they can take a lot out of it. Really, the difference was essentially three stupid mistakes that the Broncos made. It was a silly Hetherington offload, which the Panthers went down and scored. And then it was Cobbo running out, and then Arthur's tackling after the ball was passed. Like if you take those three errors out, who knows? Maybe it's a different story. You take away one try, all of a sudden it's an extremely tight match. That really, in my opinion, was the difference. I thought the Broncos showed a lot of grit in defence. I'm extremely happy with their performance. I really am. I think there's a lot to build from.
Sorry, just quickly, Sifa 1 week, and just quickly as well, Burton 18, Olakawasu 19, Kiri 20.
Okay. Sweet.
I thought that was Brisbane's best game since Magic Round.
Yeah.
By far and away. And you're right, mate. We're missing a number of troops, but going up against the Penrith Panthers, didn't the Panthers just show once again, though, the best defensive team?
Yeah, absolutely.
It just is what it is.
And just the intensity at which they play at.
Yeah.
Like they just get you in your end and they just bash you. So they, I thought both teams can walk away from that going, you know what, we've still got top tier footy in us.
Yeah, better signs from the Broncos for sure. I do think, like we spoke about how much certain games mean to teams, Kempy, and we looked at Origin 2 and we spoke about how much the Blues had to win that game. The Maroons probably a little bit complacent, and they came out and both teams played to what their circumstances, where they were at. The Broncos came into this one, they really need to win this game. The Panthers sitting in second on the table. What?
Sorry. Nico Hines been carried off Sharks training. Looks like to be a serious ankle injury. Fuck. That's NRL physio.
That sucks. Anyway.
Poor Nico.
Yeah. Keep going.
Panthers were sitting second on the ladder, coming off a loss, but with all their players out. Again, the game doesn't sort of necessarily mean that much to them. Broncos had to win it. Yeah, the Panthers ran for 450 metres more in it, 140 metres more post-contact. Their only try was the freak Reece Walsh try. So better signs from the Broncos. Again, players out, must be considered. But yeah, still a long way from where they need to be, the Bronx.
Nico News has rocked me.
Yeah. That's
really
poor
thrown me.
I don't think so. I actually think the Broncos played pretty bloody well. When you go up against the Panthers side and they've got 55% of the possession, they've got the ball essentially 7 minutes longer. They've got a high, I don't think so. I think that's a really good performance by a Broncos side that had more out than the Panthers side, and considering with where they are right now. And I also think that the Panthers, I understand your point of the Broncos are desperate. I actually think the Panthers treated that as an equally as important game. I think that Ivan Cleary puts a lot of stock in beating the Broncos after the grand final situation.
If it was against anyone else, I'd be more critical, but Penrith are just Penrith. They're a different beast. And that's, like I said, sitting second, well, it's the Penrith Panthers. They don't really have games like that attitude-wise, but yeah.
You talk about being desperate, though. I think this weekend the Broncos, I know they're going to be without Origin players, but you take on the Dragons, they're one win ahead of you at the moment. Dragons win this, that'll put them 2 wins ahead of you, not to mention all the other teams. I think this weekend's kind of must-win territory for the Broncos.
Oh, absolutely, it's must-win territory. Absolutely. I just think when you looked at the standard of footy played on the weekend with put it this way, I think Broncos beat most of the, outside of maybe your Storm, Roosters and Penrith, I think Broncos beat most teams that night.
If you were to lose this game this weekend, the Dragons would go to 22 points. The Knights play the Seagulls, so one of them goes to 22. The Cowboys have a bye. All of a sudden, you're 2 wins away from the teams that are in 8th. This could get
absolutely
straits very, very quickly.
Absolutely. Like people are talking about, stay in touch with the top 4. Fuck, the top 4 is not even, forget that shit.
Yeah.
The Broncos need to worry about making the top 8.
You got a white knuckle to hold on to the 8 at the moment.
Okay, in regards to the game, I thought the Panthers played outstanding. I thought it's the best game the Panthers have played. in quite a while. Their intensity looked, massive. Their line speed was there. Like I feel like they really got up for this game, much more than the past. They've been managing to scrape together wins, but I don't really feel they've actually played as well as we know they can. I think that we saw them at Suncorp against the desperate Broncos. I think it's one of the better games for a while. And what separates the Panthers? Like, what makes them different? The try that they scored. So they had basically it was I think it was a Toto half break. A Leota's half break. And so basically Leota makes a half break. They get down to the Broncos right, their left. And Fisher Harris, of all people, is standing in centre, passing the ball to basically be the last pass before the line break. A front rower staying up on the play like that, all the way in the right corner of the Broncos, their left corner, had no right to be there. Did not need to be there. If he was in the middle of the field, we all would have said, yep, he's doing his job. No, he was where the ball was, just being another body, another person there. And that's what makes the Panthers different. Like, they are at all times working for each other. No matter what, they are at all times working for each other. Great try. And if he's not there, they probably don't score that try. And if Leota doesn't have that incredible one, they don't. So those two guys as a combination were absolutely incredible. And also, I think it was around the 8:38 to go on first. So there's about 8 minutes and 38 seconds to go in the first half. What makes the Panthers a benchmark? So I think they kicked a 7-tackle set. And if you go back and watch the footage at this time, their forwards are basically, I'd say they're probably on the 10-metre line, around there. As soon as the ball goes dead, the Panthers forward pack put their heads down and they sprint back to the 20-metre line, like sprint. Usually in transitions like that, teams, they'll, 7-tackle set, they'll dawdle back. I mean, when the Rabbitohs were struggling, we saw that. The Panthers, they are immediately on their bike, set and ready to go in defence. And it's all those little 1%ers that you don't really see that will make the Panthers great.
How many stats have we had this year about teams when they lose a winger early, they don't go on to win the game? They lose a winger in the 10th minute, and the Panthers beat Brisbane at Suncorp Stadium 14 points to 6. Like, it's just crazy.
Yep.
All the stuff you just said there, mate, without repeating it, they are just the perfect system at the moment, and I reckon they're playing at a 6 or 7 out of 10 for where they can be.
I actually had Fish Harris in my team of the week. He's averaging 132 metres this year. Ran for 192 on the weekend. That was up against a desperate Broncos side with Carrigan, Haas, both fresh after a week off. That's enormous.
Yeah, I think that they were outstanding. They played the perfect game. Like Payne Haas, he made 30 tackles in the first half. You don't think they're targeting Payne Haas to try and gas him out? Super, super smart. Now, look, if Broncos could have completed a higher rate, I would have loved to have seen, if they had had more field position and more opportunities to score, would have loved to see how Panthers handled that. They probably would have handled it. But that's what the Panthers do. They starve you with the ball, and then they have crazy line speed, and they absolutely nailed it. As I said, I think it was one of their better performances. I think this Panthers, when you bring Cleary back in, are just, they're almost unbeatable with only a few teams, with Storm and Roosters only a chance of beating them, in my opinion, but I would still probably pick Panthers to win. In regards to performances, look, Brian Toto again for me was just like 20 runs, 195 metres, 76 post contact, 4 tackle breaks, a line break, no errors, which is a key ingredient. Continues to be good. But I actually think Mitch Kenny, he's been a bit quiet this year, and he's actually had some games where he's almost tried a little bit too hard, some missed tackles here or there. Now, statistically, he had 44 tackles, only 3 misses, which is great in the middle. But I did think that he really stepped up his game on the weekend.
He's been fantastic, Mitch Kenny. I was the first one to say at the start of last season that I didn't think he'd be able to step into this full-time role, but he's been tremendous. So it's going to be so interesting when Nath does return, mate, because for me right now, Taruva was dropped to 18th man in this game. If Nath wasn't returning next week, and I know what Nath can get out of Isaac Tungo, I think I'd be dropping him.
Okay.
Defensively, he has just been so far off the mark over the last few weeks and months. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but I reckon he's been so underwhelming, it's not even funny.
I think Taruva, we've spoken about, Taruva and Tungo, they've not been anywhere near as how good we know they can be, especially in defence.
Terrible defensively. I think Tungo's been worse. I was surprised, that Taruva dropped out, but that edge been very poor.
Yeah.
We've already spoken about Jerome Luai, though. Mate, his ability, he has truly just shown everyone, there is much more to me than a ball running 6. It's been amazing how well he's played
Well,
this
we've
year.
been a bit critical this season of just Luai just laying it, stepping off his left, going back in field, and you catch a cold out on that left edge if you're playing centre or left wing. The last month or so, he's really started to open it up. I'm guessing it's more game plan than anything and not just by coincidence, but I don't know if playing Origin and having these stars outside him where he's been in the mindset of getting them early ball. Like the timing of it suggests maybe that has tweaked his thinking at Penrith, but they're also so meticulous with their game plans that I think it was obviously all part of the plan. But the last month, mate, opening up that left edge, Toto's been the big recipient, the big winner, because he's getting such good ball and just showing what he can do. Because he's statistically, in terms of tries, assists, all that, the first leading to Origin, really quiet Brian Toto, but it's all starting to open up.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's shown it before in his Origin series, debut series. Latrell Mitchell was outside him, and I believe he was a player of the series in that 2021 series. So he's shown he can do it before. It's just, I think this year it's just a matter of, mate, we need you to step up. Like, Cleary's out for a long period, and he's gone, all right, sweet. And then on top of that, not only has he stepped up, he's playing good footy, so then he's more confident, and it all just kind of snowballs to a point where, mate, he's been outstanding. But yeah, so really, really good stuff from the Panthers. Like they are going to be the team to beat. It's really that simple. Like they've had a bunch of injuries this year. They've managed to. Dylan Edwards, I thought he was he didn't set the world alight, but when you really watch him closely, and every time he runs the ball, the amount of times in a set, Panthers might be struggling a little bit, or the momentum isn't there, and he just takes a one-off carry, or a little tip on here or there. Breaks one tackle, breaks another, spins around and finds his front some way, and all of a sudden the momentum just goes boom through the roof. Incredible.
And you're right, mate. Didn't set the world alight, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of fullbacks in this competition that if they ran for 237 run metres, had a line break and had 10 tackle breaks, that's team of the week criteria.
Absolutely. And that's what Edwards is getting into, that area of like Tedesco a few years ago, where he can go and do that, 10 tackle breaks, 230 metres, and you just expect it. And it's a compliment to Edwards that, I cannot express enough. 2-3 years ago, nearly any analyst in rugby league would have said to you, Dylan Edwards probably doesn't have the talent to be a top-tier fullback. But hard work beats talent. And look where he is now. Now he is a top-tier, so much so that he can go out and put these crazy number ups and we just go, yeah, of course he does, because he's a top-tier fullback. So incredible story. Okay, on to the Broncos. Look, as I said, they still got these stupid errors in their game, and that's frustrating. But I thought they were way, way better than they have been. They showed way more energy. Their defence was much better. Yep, for sure. Are they still one hand scooping balls up and knocking it on, or throwing silly offloads? Yes, but they were definitely better than they have been in the past. Reece Walsh's try was just like, I tell you what, Reece Walsh's kicking game is phenomenal. Like. That extra, when say Renault moves on, the next guy that comes in, if he's got a good kicking game and Walsh does as well, I mean, the attacking weapon of both of those boys being able to kick like that and smack 20-40s from wherever will be incredible. I thought Reece Walsh was outstanding. That try he scored where he just absolutely gassed him was incredible.
I loved when Reece just jumped into first receiver and just played fast over the advantage line. I thought they looked lethal during that period. And I thought if it wasn't against the Panthers, I reckon Reece would have cut up a number of sides the way that he was playing.
It's a really fascinating 6 or so weeks coming up for Reece Walsh, and you can nearly say until the end of the season, but through his career so far, certainly in recent years, hasn't had a lot go wrong for him. A great run last year with the Broncos in a dominant side. Had a good time of it with the Maroons. But over the last month, a few hiccups with obviously the concussion in game 1 of Origin, not the best game 2. Broncos form been a little bit mixed, been rested from a few games. But the Broncos find themselves in a position where they need to absolutely fight tooth and nail to make top 8 and play finals footy. And it's a side that are struggling for points a little bit at the moment by their standards. So in 5 of their last 6 games, they've scored 3 tries or less. The only one they scored more than that in was against the Titans, who obviously not the best defensive side in the competition. Just a big, 4 to 6 weeks for Reece Walsh. I think he comes out and absolutely explodes off the back of this. You can probably, not saying he's done this, but you can probably afford to coast at times last year when the Broncos were cruising and up there around the top 2. This year, it's no. He needs to be at his best every game. We could be about to see something special with him running home.
What's really exciting, and I don't ever want him defending in the front line because you don't put your Ferrari in the front line if you don't have to. But what's exciting is his ball playing in the front line is only going to get better. So, imagine him in 4 or 5 years when he's 25, 26, and he's almost like another 7 on the field, but at fullback as well. So, like the attacking weapon that he's going to be in 4 or 5 years with that frontline ball playing, with another young 7 that's coming through, and Ezra Mam also will be 25, 26 as well. Like, it'll be some of the best attack you can see. Like, seriously, this is what he's doing now as a 21, 22-year-old with a kicking game like this. Imagine as he learns his trade more, as he grows. I think we often forget with Reece Walsh, because he's such a superstar, how young he is. Like, he's so young, got so much to learn. I cannot wait. In regards to other players that played really well, I thought in defence, Smoothie worked his absolute backside off. 50 tackles, only 1 miss. He tried his heart out. I really, I liked that from him. I thought Tapu'ua did a really good job when he came on. Got through his work, no errors. So that was a big win for the Broncos. But it's just a matter of just keep building on this performance with the Broncos. They've just got to stick to a bit more conservative, try to complete, because it will click for them. They have the roster.
We mentioned multiple times at the start of the show, thanks to me, about Josh Curran coming off a bad game and having a blinder. Mate, I'm very keen to see this week you take on the Dragons. You got Carrigan out. You got Payne Haas out. Xavier Willison, really poor playing about the 70th minute with the game in the balance there. He was hooked straight after that. I can't wait to see how he responds this week, because you guys are going to need a big game out of him. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think Corey Jensen's been a bit quiet. I mean, he was really good last week, but last month of footy probably been a bit quieter than he usually is. Jock Madden obviously sucks he's injured, gives an opportunity for Rogers or any of those guys to come in.
Yeah, young Kobe Black dislocated his thumb or something.
Did he?
Or I think it was on the weekend, more in the week before, so he's out for 4 weeks, so it looks like it'll be Guru gets his boy. No, it wasn't going to be him anyway, I don't think, but just like one option there, so you get your man.
I like Rogers.
Yep. Come in, do a job, kick well, it sucks for Madden, because I actually thought he started the game pretty well. Look, hopefully he can build off that. Try to keep the errors down if they can. If they do, they're going to beat most sides, in my opinion. So I was pretty happy with that performance. Were you happy, or you think it was poor?
No, I was happy with it. As I said, I think that was the best game the Broncos have played in 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, I probably sounded too critical. I was just playing for everything in this game. But at the end of the day, it was against Penrith, one of the best sides we've ever seen. With 11 minutes to go, it was a 2-point game. So they were in it. Yeah.
Okay, on to the Doggies defeating the Warriors. Talk about match of the round. Holy. What an absolute cracking match. It had everything. Look, if anything, I felt like the Warriors were, if you had to rate like toughness and resilience, you'd probably rate the Warriors just a bit higher, only because they were decimated by injury, like smashed by it. And the Warriors are similar boat, for me anyway, in regards to the Broncos, that yes, they lost, so that's disappointing, but did I see something in the Warriors that would suggest that maybe they can fight their way back in the back end of the season? I don't know if they'll make the 8, because there's some teams like the Dragons and that are really putting their hands up, but we might be able to see some form heading into the back end of the year. I thought the Warriors' grit and determination in this game just to hang in there somehow, some way. Now I know there was a controversial call. And also the Jesse Arthur's late hit, just for the record, I think he should have been sent 10 in the bin, that late hit.
Yep, fair.
I've been very, very vocal about this. Late hits off the ball, even if they're not that bad, but they still make connections with heads and their shoulders or shoulder shards or whatever, I just think let's just get them out of the game. Now, that's very different to, you're trying to time a tackle and you just happen to be a little bit late. There's a difference between that and then you can clearly see he had time to pull out and he nails him in the head. And so I think he should have probably got 10 in the bin. So now onto the Warriors call with Salmon. I don't know if it was 10 in the bin or not, but I do think it should have been a penalty given the current climate of the game. But I will say, me personally, let's take out of the fact that the climate of the game has been like we've been really pedantic about all this kind of stuff. I don't like games being decided by stuff like that. So if you want a consistency, it should have been a penalty. But I personally rathered the fact that wasn't what decided the game. And I know Warriors fans are super frustrated, and I know that Warriors fans definitely feel like they get the short end of the stick a lot. But, I mean, there have been times where they've got some calls that have got them in games, like the Manly game, for example, with the Josh Allier charge down, with the Sean Johnson, that got him in the game. They ended up drawing it. So, although I do agree it probably should have been a penalty, and I understand why Warriors fans are disappointed, I also think there were plenty of other times for them to win that game. And I think robbed is a very strong word in my opinion.
I hate the word robbed in rugby league. It happens so rarely, and I don't think that was a robbing. I think, mate, the Warriors, like without taking anything away from Canterbury, just the grit that they showed, that they deserved to win, though, the Warriors, for how much they put into it. They were just so tough. We obviously mentioned before, when players lose outside backs and whatnot, the Warriors lost, 2 to 3 players in this game?
They lost Tenny Zelezniak before halftime. Then they lost Marcelo Montoya 20 minutes, I think, after 10 or so. And they also lost Chance as well before halftime. So you basically, your back three. That last 20 minutes, their back three was completely different.
So tough. I thought the Warriors were very good. Like, crazy to think this is the same Warriors side that we watched the Titans put 66 on a couple of weeks ago. Bizarre.
Insane. In regards to, we talk about grittiness and toughness and people being injured. Hali Asima was a front row in the centre. Now, we've spoken about earlier in the year that the Warriors might just have the best young batch of forwards coming through the ranks. If you wanted that to be proved, look at Hali Asima when he come on. How good does he look?
Mate, if you get an opportunity, just go and watch some of his junior highlights. And look, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't seen a stack of him. I'd heard very good things, but I watched like a highlight package of him yesterday afternoon, and Christ, he does some unbelievable things for a guy his size.
He's a front rower. And
Wild.
he can play, like, think of the versatility that he's going to have in that forward pack as a young fella coming through. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah. That passage of play where Hali Asima, so I think he's played majority second row in Cup this year. But
so he's second row.
Yeah, but still, could obviously play middle as well.
Yeah.
I think on the side, I had a bit of a look at it. I'm sure he was listed as a prop, but he'd been named at 2RF, where like second row, where he's been playing for most of this year. But that passage of play, when he went through, you just went, oh my word, this bloke has the makings of a star.
Yep.
The footwork he put on Connor Tracy just burned him. You went, my word. But then on top of it, Sherry, who was involved in the missed tackling in the first place, for Sherry to come back and save that try and run him back down, that was also a remarkable piece of play.
He's 18 years old.
Just throw some stats at you. Last year, he came in and played 6 games. 6 games for their SG Ball. He got Player of the Year, but he had 35 tackle breaks in 6 games. He then made the move to New South Wales Cup, where he had... Such was his potential, he was quickly pushed into New South Wales Cup, where he played 18 matches, scored 6 tries, averaged 103 metres, and had 56 tackle breaks in 18 games and coming in New South Wales Cup. And then this year in Cup, he has played 7 games, and he's got 34 tackle breaks.
Wow.
He's 18 too. Like, so a kid that's nowhere near his man strength is playing against men in New South Wales Cup.
7
Scary.
games in Cup this year, 3 tries, averages 144 metres and 34 tackle breaks.
Born in Tofoa, Tonga. Shout out our Tofoa listeners. I'm sure they're avid bloke fans. Shout out Tofoa, Tonga. Just another incredible young forward coming through. And we talked about the game speeding up and how forwards are, getting a little bit smaller. He might be the perfectly designed front rower for the modern game, because he's got explosiveness, he's got footwork, he's probably got a good motor as well, and also his strength in contact is clearly up there with the best.
I think it's so good for a guy like him too. Can be like, I see these guys come through the junior grades and they're untouchable, then they get to first grade, and sometimes I find if they don't hit the ground running straight away, they can lose a lot of confidence. Like Frank Pele was a bit like that to me, that he hadn't been tackled in 4 years, got to first grade, and it was, it sort of struggled to translate. So to see this kid do it on debut at centre is outrageous.
Mate, if they can just find a way to keep these young boys together and build the culture that they built last year, seriously, we might look at this team and go, like, similar-ish to the Penrith Panthers in regards to this young talent is like top tier. On
top of that, they obviously won the Harold Matthews this year. They're 2 grades below, so there's Plenty of guys coming through.
Just quickly, Warriors as a whole, Kempy, you boys sort of touched on it, losing the three key outside, well, their back three in this game, including Dallin in the first half and Chancellor Klukstad in the first half. They only conceded 2 tries to the Doggies off an intercept and off a kick. Like, to dig in the way they did in an 87-minute game, it was a great performance and a great bounce back. Like, so hit and miss. They just need to narrow that gap between their best week and their worst week, because it's last year that gap was tiny. On a bad week, they were still in games and fought. On a good week, they'd go and blow teams away. But their worst week this year is just so far from what we've seen in the past. They need to bridge it.
Not to mention that intercept. Had Burton not taken it, Roger strolls over. That was a try either way.
Huge moment.
Mitch Barnett, 110 fantasy points. He had a try assist, 24 runs, 226 metres, 86 post contact, 5 tackle breaks. He had a line break assist. He had 5 offloads. He had 56 tackles. He only missed 2. And he had 0 errors. Probably the best performance by a forward this year.
Imagine
138 Supercoach points, Campy.
Get
Enormous.
Apologies.
Get it right.
Apologies,
Imagine out-alphaing Adam Fanua-Blake in the pack.
It is actually insane the level this bloke's gone to.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, that performance, it's one thing, like, if he just had the attacking stats, you'd be like, wow, what a run. He had 56 tackles. He had 5 offloads. 5 offloads. Seriously incredible performance from Mitch Barnett.
If you're Max King and Josh Curran on the other side of the field, who had absolute blinders, they probably had 9 out of 10s. Unfortunately for them, Barnett had a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, 11 out of 10. Unbelievable. Now, have to be a bit of a Debbie Downer. Shout out, Mum. I do have a concern for the Warriors going forward. Their kicking game with Harris Tavita and Tomato Martin. It was real. Their end of sets decision making and their kicking game at the end of sets was really, really poor. Like, genuinely not even New South Wales Cup standard. And look, maybe they just need more. Like, Tomato Martin's been around for long enough to have worked on his kicking game. So I have big concerns. Let's say they go, okay, next year our 7's going to be Tomato Martin. If SJ doesn't re-sign or whatever, 6 Harris Tavita. I have concerns the fact that the kicking game is becoming so important that they aren't going to be able to go roll with the best teams next year.
Yeah, it was a big standout from that game, wasn't it?
It was like
well
genuine
below
crazy
par.
difference.
Yeah, agreed.
Timmy?
Yeah, 100%. Like, and I didn't watch the kicking game, take note of it as close as you. Is this a one-off thing, or is this something you've seen week in, week out with these two as a pairing?
Well, Tomato Martin, we'll put it this way, I've never watched him and said, geez, he's got a bloody good kicking game. And he's been around for quite a while now. And then on the weekend, it was just, it was genuinely poor, really poor. So, look, unless he goes away in the off-season and he really, really focuses on it, I just think in today's day and age, you need at least one person in your spine that is a bloody good kicker. Otherwise, no matter how good you are as a team, eventually when you get to the top tier, you're just not going to be able to mix it with the best of them. So maybe he needs to work on it. And also just the amount of errors that him and Harris Tavita had. 4 errors for Harris Tavita, 3 errors for Tomato Martin. So hopefully they can fix that up. Okay, now on to the Doggies. What an incredible win. I mean, they were, I know the Warriors were gutsy with all the injuries and that, and you probably on a scale of 1 to 10 would say they were more gutsy, but that doesn't mean at all the Doggies weren't tough. The Doggies didn't hang in there. What a win. Like, seriously, this year has been, it's been a fairy tale. And some of the performances that some of these blokes have put in, Connor Tracy, 264 metres. Connor Tracy had 35 runs. 35 runs. Then you go to Kiraz, 28 runs, 215 metres. Then you go to Blake Wilson, 28 runs, 261 metres. Their back three basically ran for you're looking at nearly 700 metres. Genuinely insane. 720 metres or something along those lines. They were outstanding. They just kept getting through work. And yeah, there was errors here or there, and there's definitely things to clean up for the Dogs. But they've now conceded the least amount of tries of anyone in the competition.
Yeah, and as we said last week, that misleading stat of missed tackles, they did it again in this game. They missed another 22 more tackles than the New Zealand Warriors. They had more errors. They conceded more penalties. But the big thing for me with Canterbury, we mentioned it last week, it's like there's 15 of them out there in defence.
Well, my biggest takeaway, especially from this game, they are one of the fittest teams in the comp. It's just that simple. Like Cameron Ciraldo has gone there and said, I'm going to make you, the amount of times I'm watching that game and going, the only reason they're in this game is because their defence, because their attack sometimes is terrible, like genuinely New South Wales Cup standard. But their defence, though, they're unbreakable.
What club does it remind you of? A few of the things you just said, Kempy. Enormous back three yardage, great defence, ultra fit.
The Penrith Panthers. And, it's the thing about fitness, it's the most honest thing you can do. You can sit there and talk and rah-rah about, I'll die for my brothers and fucking all this, carry on. But at the end of the day, being fit, it takes hard work. You cannot cheat the system. You cannot talk your way out of it. You can't skill or talent your way out of fitness. You have to work for it. And so you've got to find blokes that are willing to do the hard yards, and that's what they've done at the Bulldogs. Like, it's the most honest thing. As I said, like, you can have guys that have natural ability that can, just paint over cracks in their game. Whereas fitness, it is, when you see a fit bloke that goes all day and can have 1 million carries or whatever, he's had to work for that. That has not just been a lucky dip, lucky that he's got these genetics or whatever. It is purely from them working hard. And that's what makes this Bulldogs side so impressive is that they haven't just got this great young roster that's come together and they've gotten really lucky. They've got a pretty okay roster on paper that has decided we are just going to work harder than everyone we play against.
And you can see it.
Unbelievable. So good. In regards to performances, Matty Burton obviously coming in clutch, outstanding. But Curran, we've already spoken about him. I've got to give you props though. Max King, Sam Hughes. Yeah. A lot of these blokes definitely wouldn't make some of the top tier sides. We talk so much about, the smaller forwards that are getting around and all these utilities. But those two blokes have been laying a platform and haven't been getting much credit for it. I thought they were bloody good.
Outside of Reid Marnie, who made a whopping 70 tackles, Max King was the only player that didn't miss a tackle, and he made 55.
55. Reid Marnie, 70 tackles and only 4 misses.
Yeah. And just to top that off, I want to just mention Josh Curran again, and I'll tie Reid Marnie into it. But Curran, he had a little break late in the game, and then he had to come back on not straight away, after about 5 minutes when Jamin Salmon got injured. And he said the big minutes of Reid Marnie. But I just love looking, who are the blokes still going at the last minute and still putting their hand up to impact games. In Golden Point, who are the blokes up there putting pressure on the kicker? Josh Curran had one. Reid Marnie had another that was touched that looked like for all money was going over the sticks, and he got his little finger to it and put it offline. Just two enormous plays. Like Reid Marnie, I'm assuming he didn't have a break, played the entire game, and he's coming out with a play like that, 85, whatever it was, minutes into a game. Huge.
It's crazy. 89 minutes played by Reid Marnie in the middle there. 70 tackles.
There you go.
Unbelievable. And so that's what's it's so fun to get on board of a side that they're getting their victories just battling, like just pure grit and determination. And what a turnaround for Marnie to get called back into the Origin squad. Yeah. It's so good to see.
And Birdo's field goals, I know he's missed a couple in recent weeks when they've won these golden pointers, but the ones he's been missing, he's been hitting from like 35, 40 out. Yeah. But if he's hit the post twice, like he is smoking them. Shock.
Man.
So what, Canterbury had the bye this week. Sharks play the Tigers, which I guess the Sharkies should win that, but if Nico Hines is out, that might open it up a little bit. If Sharks were to lose that game, Canterbury at 4th.
Bro, we were going over their run home. They genuinely have an opportunity to finish in the top 4. I think they've only got like one or two.
The highest ranked team they're playing is the Dolphins.
Like the
highest ranked they play is the Dolphins.
Is the Dolphins.
Wow.
The toughest team at their best that they play, I think, is the Broncos. But obviously Broncos aren't at their best.
And I mean, like, you have a look at the teams above them on the ladder at the moment. Like, you got the Sharks, who are on a bit of a slide. Dolphins are directly below them on a little bit of a slide. They're in a damn good spot.
Mate, if they make top 4, I'll be my mind will be blown, because like they were statistically one of the worst defensive sides in the club's history last year. Incredible.
So if they do finish 4th, that will more than likely mean they'll play Melbourne week 1. They've got a pretty good record down there, don't they? Haven't they?
They smoked them round. They smoked them round 2 last year down there.
And look, look. You look at that spine for Melbourne, and it's just light years above the Bulldogs one. But if there's one team I want the Doggies to play in round 1 of that top 4, it's probably the Storm, because the forward packs, size-wise, are similar-ish to a degree.
They went down there in round 2 this year and only got beat by 2 points, Canterbury.
Yeah. Wow. And didn't they beat them on the in the end of the game too? It was like a close, it was one of those ones that they won right on the...
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Anyway.
They won last year as well.
So, yeah, great stuff from... also, just quickly, Crichton. Game's on the line, in the balance, and Crichton does another game-defining play. So a good kick from Sexton. And look, the kicking game, looking at a genuine number 7 that's gone through the grades and brought through compared to guys that are 6s, 7s, but the kicking game difference was absolutely massive from Sexton and the Warriors. But Sexton puts in a really good kick. RTS bring the ball back. What does Critter do? Great contact, picks him up, carries him, puts him out over the sideline. Like, big game, big moment, gets it done every time. Every time.
Gun.
He's a freak, Critter.
He's genuinely a freak. Alrighty, we are here with our mate, Dwayne Bennett. How you going, brother?
And with the buy, I spent some time cleaning up the change sheds and getting KO Stadium ready for the big clash against the Bunnies. It's all about making sure everything is in top shape so the boys can finish the season strong, you know what I mean? Of course, I have also been trying to help out Cuzzy Wayne, giving him a few tips to get the boys ready for the Bunnies. I'm pretty sure there's still something wrong with his phone, though. It seems to hang up a lot when I call. Yeah. I think it's his service. When he did pick up, though, he was like, Dwayne, I told you never to call this number. That's Cuzzy Wayne for you, though. Always joking around.
Mate, what's the fan question this week?
Mate, it's from Timmy. He's a Panthers fan. Look, this is a good question, man. I got stuck on this. If you wanted someone to kick a field goal for your life, Bennett, who would it be? And it can be a past or present player. Very hard.
If we want someone to kick a field goal for our life, who would it be? Yeah. The first person that sprung to my mind, and I don't know whether it's statistically correct or whatever, but it just gives me the right vibes of safety, security, and a bit of Queensland spirit. It's Jonathan Thurston. I don't know. I just know Thursday's not letting me down. He's not letting me die. No way Thursday's letting me die. I'm going JT.
Obviously, DCE comes to mind over the weekend, and Mitchell Moses very hard to go past on a Wednesday night. But I got a little smoky for you, a Queenslander as well. Chrissy Sando. He hit him better than anyone, Sando.
Yeah, boys, I was in Queensland. I can't remember year and game. Game was 3, but when Cooper Cronk obliterated that field goal from about 35-40 out, I was among just Queenslanders at this pub, and it stuck in my mind for a long time. Cooper Cronk, safe as houses.
Oh, there we go. What do you reckon, Dwayne?
I'm going with you then, mate. JT, all the way.
Surely. Mate,
yep.
How can you join the Finlanders this week?
Mate, it's the Dolphins been performing exceptionally well this season. I know that's not the answer to your question, but what's even more amazing is the support from our Finlanders. NRL fans from all clubs have come together to support the Dolphins as their second team, create an incredible, unified atmosphere at every game. It's beautiful to watch and to be a part of. It's that collective energy from Finlanders that fuels the team, and we can't thank them enough. Keep showing up and cheering us on together. We're unstoppable. And look, just to become a Finlander, all you have to do, it's this easy, Denon. I keep saying it every week. I wish people would just open their ears more, and I think they are because it's growing exponentially. Just go to finland.com.au, download your digital passport onto your iPhone or your smartphone, and, mate, it's all there. It's all there. And the people that sign up get that iconic, the magnificent Budget Direct Fin just for their loyalty. It's amazing.
Oh, mate, thank you so much, Nora. There he is, the great Dwayne Bennett. Thanks for joining us, mate. We'll see you next week. Alrighty, Storm defeat the Tigers 40-28. Funny one, this one, because although it was 40-28, you never like 40 being put on you as Tigers. I actually thought there was a lot to take out from the Tigers in this game. Storm, once again, yes, they did get 28 put on them by the Tigers, but they also had a bunch of injuries as well during the game. So almost a bit of a mixed bag for both teams. Like Storm, we would expect to beat the Tigers substantially, but you'd be sitting there going, well, 28 points from the Tigers, like against a team that's kind of struggled for points, but at the same time, they had a bunch of injuries and they still scored 40 bloody points. From the Tigers' perspective, they got 40 put on them, but at the same time, they scored 28 points against the Melbourne Storm. So really hard to give a definitive answer. There's a lot of nuance in how I kind of feel about either side, but with the Storm, I'm still really concerned about the amount of points that they are leaking, but at the same time, they're on top of the table. We know for a fact that Bellamy has defensive systems that work. It's just about combinations being built and things, slowly progressing towards the final series where they hit their peak. So I've still got the same questions around the Melbourne Storm, as I still think they're premiership threats, but I don't think they're playing anywhere near the footy we know they can play. They scored 40 points, but the Tigers completed at 68%. So another really good win from the Storm from a perspective of they're just banking them up. Win after win. Their points differential, probably pretty solid right now. So in regards to top four, they've almost locked themselves into it. They've just got to make sure that there's another gear to be had defensively, because I just don't see them beating the top tier sides come finals time if they don't sort that out.
Well summed up, mate. I feel so stupid being critical of the team that's $1.85 to win the minor premiership. But defensively, they just can't be conceding this many points. This isn't a one-off thing. This has been a thing the entire year. Yes, they had injuries, and I get that, but Penrith Panthers had injuries too against a much better side, and they just show up and defend week in, week out. I'm just not seeing that from the Melbourne Storm. Obviously, Cam Munster's going to come back in, and there's a few more pieces to put back in there. But even with those pieces, defensively, they haven't been great this season. That's my big concern when I compare them to the Roosters and the Penrith Panthers, who just seem to be completely ruthless. I just don't see that in the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, well, when we compare them and we're looking at them as like premiership threats this year, and you compare them to Penrith and Roosters, and we sort of spoke about it a little bit earlier in the show, sit there and we say, I don't want to rule them out as beating either of those two because they've got Cameron Munster to come back. You get Ryan Pappenhausen fully fit with a few more games under his belt. Points aren't the issue. They'll come back in, maybe their attack does it get a little bit better. I mean, probably with like a Munster for certain coming back in, but points aren't a problem right now.
Yeah.
So unless they're going to come and just blow teams off the park, which is hard to do against the Roosters and Panthers side, what I will say is, and I do have serious concerns about their defence, across the season, they've got the fifth best defensive record with 19.7 per game. Like the Panthers are an exception at 15, Doggy 16.4. The Roosters, who we've obviously spoken about, they're the third best defence with 17.5 per game. On numbers, it's not that far off. Eye test, though, it looks like they are a lot more fragile than those defences.
Yeah, it's such an interesting situation Storm find themselves in. Some positives, though. Look, if you had any doubt that Pappy can still move the way we know he can move, like a top two, that try that he scored proves that he's still, he's not just a ball-playing fullback now that's got silky hands and can set other people up. Like, he still has great footwork, electric, and that's only going to get better as the season goes on. Although far longer, I love him, as a player, and he's so exciting. Pappy is still the number one fullback for me at that club.
Oh, by country mile. And Pappy, 2 weeks in a row, he had an unbelievable try saver on Far Tape. His defence has gone to another level in this time off. I've just been looking at that.
Well, just quickly on that, as a young fullback, if you just assume because you're small, your defensive is not going to be good, look at Pappy and how much he's worked on it.
And even Billy Slade, not a lot of size about him. Unbelievable defender.
Yep.
Farlongo, if not for a try called back, would have had a hat trick in 35 minutes. He scored 2 tries off scrums where they've just given him the ball and said, mate, they won't touch you, back yourself. Where's he fit in?
Oh, mate.
I know we've touched on it a little bit, but you get to a point where you're going, how do they hold on to him if they go into next year going, mate, you're only playing if essentially if our fullback goes down?
Could you hide him on a wing? And I say hide him as in, could you just get away with him on the wing to a degree? Because he makes, for what he doesn't have in, hit-ups off the ruck where he's just bowling it into the defensive lines, he has 3 line breaks a game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the same time, you can't let Coates go up. I think Warbrick's been pretty good this year as well. He's
I
probably the
think-
one that falls out if you have to.
Well, I actually think Warbrick's been poor this year. It's only been his last probably month or so that I think he's been
And
good.
Warbrick has defensive issues in his game as well. Like, he's not a great defender at this stage. So you just go, if they do decide to put Farlongo there, and to be harsh on Warbrick, do they lose that much defensively? A bit, sure, but what Farlongo is going to bring to you in attack?
Could you? I know he's already got his defensive issues, Warbrick, but could you train him to be a centre maybe?
Maybe. Like, if you want to fit them all in.
Yeah.
You got centres now that have defensive issues anyway.
Yeah.
And if you could somehow work out, because on the wing, I assume that's probably less like Union Sevens than as centre, because to a degree, I guess, he'd probably be used to defending rather than being the last man to make the decision. Who knows? I don't know what position he played in sevens. And even though with sevens you can get put all over the park, it's not really, you don't stick to one spot. Look, if you could train Warbrick up to be a centre and defensively just get through that, it's a pretty bloody scary backline then. If you've got Fa'alongo, Warbrick, Coates, and then either Smith or Meany on the other side.
And then I think you look at this year and you go, the Storm can obviously win a comp. You say to Fa'alongo, look, mate, maybe there's a spot for you on our bench moving forward, but look, I think when Munch comes back, Wishart's you're 14. So I don't think they probably need Fa'alongo. This year, you just go, you stick to Warbrick. You've got a team that can win the comp regardless of that edge defensively. But moving on to next year, decisions have got to be made because he's not going to sit there and wait for too much longer, I don't think. Maybe he will, but...
And to be fair, Fa'alongo has played quite a bit of wing in New South Wales Cup or Queensland Cup. I just think he's a guy that if he can just not even be a great defender, just be a solid defender, having him on the field in this modern game, he's just proven he's just too quick, he's too fast, too explosive, his footwork is too much for defences to handle. And it's just if you have him on the field plus Pappy, plus Munster, plus Hughes, plus Grant. And
do you look to sign a gun defensive centre? They don't need to be world beaters in attack. Attack and points are the last thing this Melbourne Storm lead at the moment. Do you find one of the better defensive centres in the game who aren't going to cost you too much and pair him with a Fa'alongo on the wing?
Or do you lean into Howarth?
Do you
put him back to centre? I still think he's a wide running forward, but he's gone pretty well at centre. Do you put,
Maybe.
It's a tough one because I don't think you should put Fa'alongo is too good. It's similar to the Titan situation to be sitting on the bench, for 40 minutes a game or whatever.
He is, but God, I also love him on the bench when they just put him on with 30 minutes to go with tired body. As you said, mate, it sounds ridiculous, but you put him on with 30 minutes to go and you would just have set plays off scrums because they just can't get near him.
The value of having a guy that can nearly guarantee you 6 to 12 points is crazy.
Yeah. The best thing about it is you don't even need to have set plays. You just give him the ball.
Just give him the football. Yeah, it's like Milford in the early days for you guys. You would just...
Yeah.
They just can't get near him.
Special. Yeah. Hughes, we've already spoken about him, but, mate, best player in the comp right now, I think. For me, form-wise, I think he's the best player in the competition. Who else do you think right now would be on top of Hughes?
I don't know if I can push back on it. I don't know who else I'd even...
Top of the table, had a bunch of injuries around him, in his spine. I just think it's hard
I was going to say Teddy's been great, but... Hughes he's had to just put that entire team on his back and go.
And it's not just he has try assists, he's got run meters, he's got organising, he's got kick. He does everything. There's not a single thing he doesn't do as a player. Usually you've got a 7 that's an organiser, but he's running games. He's doing everything.
No, I think 100% form player of the comp.
It's incredible how good he's playing.
I'm just having a look through the ladder. I don't even know who I'd put in the same conversation.
I was going to as well.
I don't think so. Anyway. I think he's out and out the form player of the competition. And right now, at this rate, if we keep going it, he wins the Dally M.
And mate, this is a bloke who started his career obviously at fullback, made that shift into the halves. Started
couldn't get a start at the Cowboys at the time.
Yeah, he was still a ball running 5'8", sort of the mould we saw him in. It's just the way he's picking teams apart this season, just identifying the slightest weakness in a game, the way he brought Eli Katara underneath him and straight through on the weekend. He's pulling teams apart like I've never seen him do before, which means he's getting better and better at a fair rate.
It's this is how good he is now. Imagine with another 3 years with his kicking game, with his organisation. Mate, he is truly incredible. Truly incredible.
Cleared for Origin.
Okay. Locked in. The big fella. So, yeah, I thought Hughes, that try assist that he had, where he's like bumping multiple around and just pinballing between people, incredible try assist. In regards to other performance, Eli Katoa continues to be Mr. Consistent. Like, seriously. I know he had a few missed tackles on the weekend, so he needs to just rein that in a little bit. But outside of that, once again, right now he's probably, him and Crichton would probably be the front runners for Dally M back rows of the year. Obviously Olakau'atu, potentially Fafita. I think the Titans struggling a little bit probably hurts Fafita a little bit, but right now I'd probably have Katoa, Crichton, and Olakau'atu as my front runners for the Dally M back rows of the competition.
Yeah, I'd have Angus clear number one, and then I would have Ellie just above Olakau'atu. Mate,
he has just been so bloody good. But another bloke I want to talk about is Wishart. Mate, how good is he? And it's like, I don't even know what his best position is.
He doesn't know.
He just goes out and rips. That's it. He just goes out, rips and tears. Obviously scored the try, 100-plus running metres. He had 3 tackle breaks. He had 2 line breaks, 29 tackles, only 1 miss. Like, what a player.
How's he going to be moving forward? Like, don't get me wrong, he'd been a 14 for him for a little bit now, but I don't think he'd ever cemented that position. He, for the Storm, off the top of my head, has played fullback. I'm sure he's played on the wing for them before. He's playing 5'8", and he's one of the better 5'8s in the competition since Cam Munster got injured. We know he can slot in at number 9 and give Harry Grant a break or cover there if he goes down. What a just versatile weapon.
I wonder if is he a New South Welshman?
Yeah. Down south coast.
He might build himself into one of the best 14s in the competition. Like, Connor Watson got that jersey because he's so versatile.
He's very similar to Connor Watson, I think. And we even saw Connor Watson transition from more of a backline player and sort of 5'8" into that middle forward, number 9 role. I see Wishart doing that once Munster's back and coming on, playing a bit of 13, potentially playing a bit of 9 if Harry needs a spell. Outstanding.
And, you're obviously picking Cam Munster, no doubt, but... you have a look at his numbers over the last 6 weeks. Cam Munster will do well to match them because he's been playing out of his skin, and they've won 5 of those 6 games.
Well, I think Munster's never really been a big numbers guy as well. So you're probably going to look at it, fans will look at it and be like, Wishart has better stats or whatever. But he's getting the job done. He's bloody outstanding
and terrific defender as well.
Yeah. Alrighty, on to the Tigers. As I said, mixed bag, obviously completion rate. If they complete higher, maybe they get close, the game's a bit closer. I've got to say, though, on a positive note, my boy Buller, he must listen to the podcast because I thought he was he was fantastic. His ball playing was good. He had a try. He had 2 try assists. He was popping up everywhere. He had 19 runs, 181 metres, 4 tackle breaks, a line break, 2 line break assists, an offload. I thought Buller was really good for him. Really good at the back there.
Best game this year?
I reckon.
I think so.
Yeah.
There wasn't a game that came to mind to me before this one. And I just love this Galvin. I just love that. And it wasn't, he's had better games and whatnot, but he just chases the game. It's like a dog with a bone. He just goes at it constantly.
Yeah. No matter who's he's playing. Nothing intimidates him.
That's the Melbourne Storm. He doesn't care.
Yeah. And even if he has a moment where they win that moment, just resets, goes again. Might lose another moment, resets, goes again. He'll just keep going until he wins that moment. He never stops.
I thought his halves partner was good too in this game, Aiden Seaver.
Yeah.
One of his better games.
I know the Tigers are, still struggling. I think he's been pretty bloody good for that club. You can see the difference when he's not there.
I think there's a lot of teams out there that, I don't know if he's got a spot in that side next year, realistically, with Galvin and Jerome Luai arriving. He'd be a nice little signing for a couple of clubs out there.
Absolutely, as a depth signing for sure.
Without knowing too much about this guy that's coming over from England, even the South Sydney Rabbitohs, they could do much worse than having Caesar there.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Another guy I want to talk about is Bolle. Mate, moving into a front row has been a masterstroke. I know he played a bit of... you say it's Bolle, isn't it? P-O-L-E?
Bolle.
He did a bit of, 13. It looked like he was going to be a 13, and then it was like, maybe edge or whatever. But moving him into the front row to partner Stefano has been a masterstroke. He's stocky. He's explosive. He's got great leg speed. I think he suits the modern game really well. He had a try. He had 17 runs, 167 metres, 73 post contact, 7 tackle breaks, a line break, 21 tackles, 0 misses. He's the kind of guy that you just get him into that middle area and just don't bog him down with the ball playing or whatever. Just say, mate, I just want you to rip and tear. I think he was outstanding on the weekend.
I think he's going to be one of those guys in 3 or 4 years. I think he's just going to keep getting slightly better until we just have this really complete player in a few years' time.
Yeah, big bad bustling Bolle. He's mate, he's the bloke that stood out to me in this game as well. Got a little bit of Josh Papali'i in this to him, I think. Like a similar stocky build. But despite being quite a big boy, he's very mobile as forward. He's got really good late footwork at the line that troubles defences and leads to a lot of quick play of the balls. I think we'll see him score a lot of tries in his career as a front rower because he does have that late footwork. He was excellent in this game on the weekend.
And I spoke about quite a while ago, like in the modern game, you can't afford to have two massive front rowers on the go. It's just too quick. The ruck speed's too quick. And so Benji must also listen to this podcast because since then, well, not since then, but all jokes aside, Clemmer is coming off the bench. And I think that's the right play. You start Stefano with a really explosive other front rower, and then you bring Clemmer on to get through just the dog work because, they're just too big to have on the field together. Like times have changed where, them together 15 years ago would be like heaven, where the ruck's a bit slower, a lot of wrestle, so they win that post-contact. Whereas I think at the moment, they've got that rotation down pat. I know it's a tough time for Tigers, but there is signs of hope there. There really is. They're improving. I think Luai is going to completely change the culture there, or not change the culture. I think it's already changing, but I think he's going to have a massive, massive impact. Api Coruscant, still crafty as anything. That play where, so they get a quick play of the ball, and even like the cameraman, you could... Like the natural thing was to keep going right because that's where the momentum was heading. So the quick play of the ball, and Api Coruscant, he looks right and boom, comes back left and he just hits that short ball and they score a try. Like he's just, even the cameraman and that was kind of like didn't expect it. Like that's how cunning he is around the hooking area.
His like ruck recognition is off the charts.
Insane.
He gets me all the time when I'm watching him.
Yeah, I think he's going, oh yeah, it's the obvious answer. And then just out of nowhere, he's gone the other way.
And like with all due respect to the Tigers, like teams would do so much tape on him every goddamn week, and they still just can't contain him.
Yep, it's crazy. He's so crafty around the ruck. So yeah, disappointing, obviously, but I think there's a lot of positives to take out of that for the Tigers. Okay, on the next game, Manly defeat the Cowboys. Look. Manly did so well to hang in this game because they really, if Cowboys took their opportunity, should have lost by honestly, 13 plus. You've got to give props to Manly for just hanging in, and any opportunity they got, they did take. Because at one point I thought, especially in that first half, I thought Manly's about to get absolutely blown off the park. But they hung in there. They showed a lot of grit, a lot of determination, and at the end of the day, their main man stood up. I know they missed a bunch of field goals, especially the Cowboys, but he got the job done. It is not an easy road trip to go up to Townsville against the Cowboys side that seems to be clicking because, yes, they didn't win and yes, they were blowing opportunities, but they're clicking all the way up until that point. They hung in there, they got the job done, they got the win, and it honestly could be season-defining, that win. So important. Keeps them in touch with the top 8. And... yeah, they deserve a lot of props. It's a tough road trip, and they are currently... So, yes, they're 7th right now, whereas if they lose that, they probably drop down to, 11th or 12th. Really, really important win, and I think they deserve a lot of credit, the Manly Seagulls, for going up there and getting it done.
Yeah, for sure. And the Cowboys, they obviously let a lot of opportunities slip, and we'll get to that soon. But, I mean, mate, the NRL is hard. You got to put yourself in positions to still be in games, and the Manly Seagulls did that. I thought DCE was just... unbelievable in this game. Some of the pills that he was throwing out to that right edge, just insane. We said it earlier in the show, but it's all just in slow motion for him.
Yeah.
Seeing him like beach balls at the moment.
Timmy?
Yeah, as I said, boys, not the prettiest win of all time, but they got the job done, and it's one that potentially we could be looking at come the end of round 27, end of the regular season, going, that got Manly into the 8 and that knocked Cowboys out of the 8. It's that close, and these two teams were sitting in and around that 8th position. It could be that tight. Back end of the year, Daly Cherry Evans, 7 Golden Point winners they mentioned in coverage yesterday. The best of, I guess, the NRL era. Well, Golden Point, so yeah. The next best is 4. That is almost doubled it, which is tremendous. And we've touched on a few times this year. DCE, how long does he play for? How many games can he rack up? If he wants to do it, boys, there's no reason why he can't play for another 3-4 years. I know that sounds ridiculous. He's literally getting better and hasn't showed any signs of slowing down. If he wants to, he's got more than 2 years in him, put it that way.
And also, like, let's say the Sea Eagles go, oh, mate, we don't want you. There are plenty of other clubs that will take DCE at 80% of what he's doing now. Like, if he drops 20% over the next 2 years, he's still an NRL standard halfback. It's just incredible.
And if he drops 20% in the next few years, he still might be in the top 5.
Yeah.
There's not many quality halfbacks in this competition. He's incredible.
You could see a lot more of him. Yeah.
I know we speak about him every week. Nathan Brown. The impact that bloke brings off the bench is absolutely incredible. Like, the amount of times I'm watching a Manly game going, well, they're getting dominated here. Like, Ruck's getting dominated and it's not looking too good. Seabold identifies that and goes, all right, Brownie, I need you. And he just comes on and it'll just swing. Or at the very least, it'll match the momentum of the opposition. Mate, he was actually in my team of the week initially, and then obviously other games came on and he got pushed out of it. But yeah, 16 runs, 148 metres, 47 post contact, 2 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 33 tackles, 0 misses, 0 errors, and he did that 56 minutes. Bloody good knock.
Great knock. Nathan Brown, Ian spoke about him a lot. Bloody love what he's done this year. Just wanted to touch on this. There's a 60-second period in the final minute of regular time. 3 Origin players and 3 Origin players that stood out to me so much. It was Manly trying to get out of their own half, about on the 40, and they just sort of weren't really going anywhere. And Ches is just going, just get me within range and give me a shot and I can do it. Nothing was really happening, and he just went into dummy half and took off, made awesome meters. It was like, oh my God, he had him in a position. That next tackle, Reece Robson from marker, managed to leave at the exact right time, stayed square and knocked the ball out of Simpkins' hand, which was not just a terrific tackle in a key moment, but just the discipline not to leave early when he was as eager as he was. There was then, off the back of that, Val Holmes had a run off the scrum where he just carved through and got him in position. 4 plays it was, if you include that one. And then off the back of that was the Jake Trbojevic charge down of Chad Townsend. There was 4 Origin plays in a 60-second window. There was like, oh, this is why they're the best, these blokes, these Origin players.
And like, when you look at, okay, why do you pay certain players big contracts? It's because they affect games in big moments. Like, you need to, like, if you're recruiting someone, you need to go, do you affect games in big moments? Okay, the stats matter for sure, like they do matter, but at the end of the day, if you're going to get paid in some of that upper tier of salary cap, you need to make a difference in results. And you just witness that with all those boys there, getting close to making a difference in results. DC. I've got to say, like, Brooks was okay. He has been quite quiet since the start of the year, though. I think he's plateaued off a little bit. Would like to see him just to be a bit more active and just, I don't know, I just don't think he's got the same punch as he had at the start of the year. So don't get me wrong, hasn't been poor, but I just want to see him get a bit more punchy through the middle there.
I thought, without being super critical, the way he combined with Cherry Evans and other players in that team the first 5-6 weeks, I thought we were in for a very special year from Brooks. And look, we still might be, don't get me wrong, but he hit the ground running and those combinations came on so quickly. I'm like, wow, give this some time to flourish. It just hasn't quite happened.
Yeah. And the energy around him he's playing, it just hasn't been at the same level at the start of the season. So I think it's just hopefully pick that up. Caller, a try assist.
Just quickly, with DC and Origin duty this week, of course, another big game for Manly. I want to see him step up. Last time Ches was out due to Origin, I think it was round 16, might have been 13 or 16, I think it was 16. And he just didn't really impact that game at all, and Manly looked terrible. Brooks needs to step up this week.
Humphries gets called up, you reckon? Surely.
Probably not.
Surely.
He wasn't even in their extended squad last week.
I don't reckon he will.
Mate, after last time's debacle, there's no way they can do that again. I mean, we'll see.
I agree with you, but I reckon they will.
We're out. Mate, if they do that again, when their season's on the line, it should be criminal. Lock him up. Okay, just quickly, call up. 27 runs, 309 metres, 71 post contact, 7 tackle breaks, a line break. Just got through his work. Yeah, he had a few errors or whatever. that's why I wish he had more game time there. But it is what it is. It's been done. Just keep him there now. Keep him there. I would keep him there for the rest of the season. Keep him at fullback.
You're going to tell him or me?
Oh, no.
Well, you know, before when we were sitting there and I asked you a question, you were responding and I turned to Timmy and interrupted you. That was me telling him Cole is out for 4 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were trying to tell you. You wouldn't have any of
It's
it.
off in your own
was
world, Kempy.
You know, pre-show when you were like, oh, okay, fuck it,
Not
whatever.
giving Rue any respect.
That's what it was.
Wow, Cooler out for 4 weeks.
Huge.
Oh, wow. What's the injury?
What was it?
Don't know.
Distracted very quickly.
Ankle maybe?
So yeah, you would assume Lehigh back to fullback?
Yeah, Lehigh goes back in there. I mean, now it looks brilliant that Lehigh got those
MCL.
runs on the board.
MCL. What a masterstroke from Siebes.
Yeah, masterstroke received.
Saw it coming.
Yeah, he knew. I'm going to go up to North Queensland. Cool's going to run for 300 plus metres, but he's going to do an interview. Okay, well, hey, you know what? It's good then. Hopewadi, he's got some game time under his belt. That's a positive of blood in a rookie, I guess. But yeah, anyway, all right, on to the Cowboys. Jesus Christ.
Fuck.
Like,
how painful was it to watch?
what just the amount of bomb tries, and granted, I did think that inside ball wasn't a forward pass for one of those tries, but like, you know, Chad Townsend drops the ball cold before the line. I think it ended up being 3 bomb tries they had by the end of the game. Then, you know, Scotty Drinkwater nails one from 40 metres. Incredible. And look, I get Townsend getting the first one, maybe even the second one. But surely at some point you go, oh, Drinky, you have a crack. Very surprising there. But then they go into Golden Point, and then Val Holmes comes in and take a crack. Just a shemozzle. Now, I actually had some people message me, oh, Townsend's got to go. Look, bad night for Townsend, but let's remember, like, they've won like 5 from 6. Like, dropping him now is crazy. The only way they're going to make a push is if Townsend's at 7. But a bit of a barrier for Townsend.
I knew where the Cowboys were sitting on the ladder, and still at the end of this game, when they completely shit the bed and I opened the ladder and said they're still in the top 8, it still hit me for 6.
It's crazy, eh?
Still with 2 buys up their sleeve. Like, they are just a ridiculous football side. How on earth they didn't win that game of football?
Genuinely crazy. Like, I will say, one of those drop goals, though, they were so far offside, it was actually insane. Like, they were maybe 4 metres offside. Which, again, it just gets frustrating. They say they're going to crack down on this and have a video replay, and then they don't use it, but whatever. Talk about one that got away. Holy shit.
But, like, there's one that got away every 6 weeks from the Cowboys. Surely this one takes the cake.
This takes the cake by a mile. This takes the cake by a mile.
Like, imagine if they get to the end of the year and they're in 9th place. This one, they bombed 3 tries in the first 25.
Well, just looking at it, if they had a 1, they would have been on 22 points, so essentially 1 win outside the 4. Actually, no, you know what? Roosters have played 17, but 17 games played, so they actually would have essentially been in the top 4 if they had of. They would have been on the same points of the top 4 if they had won this game.
It was a 4-point win going into a bye.
Mental.
And to make it even worse, it was against the Seagulls, who were right next to them on the ladder.
So look, yeah, bomb tries, all that stuff. Could have won the game. The positive is everything leading up to those bomb tries, and you know everything leading up to icing the cake. They look bloody outstanding.
Yeah, and even like a few defensive lapses, but we know they got points in them. They created so much and just couldn't capitalise on golden opportunities that they presented themselves with. But defences are getting better, a bit more,
substantially
better.
more.
You know, spoke about the Warriors bridging that week-to-week gap. The Cowboys are doing that, I think. Even though they got done on the weekend, their best and their worst performance, they're not that far apart over the last sort of 5, 6, 7 weeks, which is a great sign for them moving forward.
I don't want to open a can of worms, so I'm just going to put it out there and leave it. It's time for golden try. I don't know about you guys, but fucking miss me with, like, no, refs are too scared to blow penalties to decide the games. We have all these shots that miss. Like, it's not even rugby league anymore.
Mate, I've been a golden try proponent since I started watching rugby league. I don't understand when the game is at the pinnacle of it. So we're in extra time, and this is why we watch rugby league. It's ended in a draw. Everything's exciting, and we go to a part of our game, drop goals, that no one gives a fuck about. The point of the game is to score tries. Like, if you were to take field goals out of games, I mean, everyone would be like, they'd want it in, but it wouldn't affect the game that much. It really wouldn't. And yet we go to a part of our game that is like, yes, I understand it's super skillful. It's, yes, it is exciting to a degree because the game's on the line. I think it should be golden try. Now, I know some people might say, well, if it's golden try, we may not see some results because it's harder to score a try. I'm sure we can tweak some things like, a player gets taken off or something along the lines. I think it should be golden try, 1,000,000%.
Would you still have field goals? So, like, if no one scores in golden try and say Cherry Evans kicked a field goal in the 83rd minute.
Yeah, field goals would still exist.
Yeah, so you could still win with a field goal, technically.
Oh, no. No. As in you can win at the end of the minutes.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
But if someone scores a try, they win the match.
Yeah,
I'm with you, boys. I've always been a believer in golden try, and you'd find is for people that do love the current setup, and it's so exciting, it's not going to change that much. They're still going to position themselves to get the drop goal away, but it does a few things. Firstly, to win a game on a try would be unbelievable. Secondly, let's say like a side does have a good attacking set and then someone nails it. This is in the first period of extra time, first kick-off of the game, and then they nail one from 40, and the other team doesn't really get a crack at it. It gives them a chance to answer back and come back and respond. So you're still going to find that most of the time they'll try and get to the fifth tackle, fourth tackle, whatever it is, in position for the drop goal. They can nail it, whatever. But there's just going to be them opportunities where the defence rushes, an exciting player steps off their right, steps off their left, they score a try and go bonkers.
Yep.
Why wouldn't you? And if it does end in a draw after 90, and we've had 3 or 4 shots at field goal, and we've had attempts at try, it's still an exceptionally good way to finish the game and exciting.
Well, even in the current setup, it can still end a draw.
Yeah.
So it should be golden try, in my opinion. I'd
like to know the reasons why it's not.
I remember a few years ago, tossed up fatigue, something like that. But I mean, we clearly don't give a shit about fatigue at the.
We're playing for 35 weeks a season.
Yeah.
Fatigue's
I don't get it. I don't get it. And as I said, if you're worried about no points being scored, all right, take one player off and play 12v12. I don't know. Look, we've seen time and time again when they're desperate to score a try, teams, they find the offloads, a strong, they risk everything. And so I think it should be golden try. In regards to performances, I thought Nanai, outside of those last errors or whatever, which, those things happen. It wasn't I don't think they were bad errors by any stretch. Mate, he looked phenomenal. He looked energetic, super strong in contact. Footwork was on point. Again, he's another guy. We forget how young he is. We're talking about a 22-year-old or something like that. He is super, super young. When he is hyper-aggressive and, energetic, he's almost unstoppable. He's a beast on the edge. I thought he was outstanding for the Titans.
His age is crazy, Cowboys. Isn't it? He could be 2 years away from having 10 years left in the competition.
It's honestly mental. As a forward, to still only be his age and essentially locked into an Origin side as well, incredible.
Yeah, I can often be quite critical of Nanai just purely because of his defensive errors at times, but I thought that was, without going back game by game, I thought that was probably his best game all year. I thought he was exceptional, and just the different ways he was getting the Seagulls in attack. It wasn't just leaping and catching bombs, that sort of stuff, or cross-field kicks. He was tearing them to shreds.
He just got so many weapons.
With footwork, with a bit of ball playing. Yeah. Oh.
And he's so unpredictable when you watch him. When there's a play going to his side, you just don't know what he's going to do. Yeah. Is he going to hit a hard line? Is he going to have great footwork? Is he just going to tip on? He really is, unpredictable with ball in hand.
I'm critical of Nanai because I think if he can round his defence, which I think people overlook a lot with him, he can easily be the best back rower in the NRL. And really, he probably will be at some stage because he's got more attacking weapons than any other back rower in the NRL. He just needs to round the defence, but on the weekend, just exceptional.
Yeah. Another bloke, I thought Taumalolo, best game of the year. 21 runs, 215 metres, 85 post contact, 55-minute stint, as in played total, 55 minutes. 28 tackles, only 2 misses, no errors. I thought he was outstanding.
Valia's the other one that I thought was great too. 230 run metres at centre. Very good knock. 23 hit-ups. No line breaks or anything in that, just raw metres. He's really starting to come into his own. And boys, obviously Reuben Cotter scored a try in this, but my weekly compliment to Sam McIntyre. Great ball playing on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. How good has he been, McIntyre?
He's been such a good signing. Such a good signing.
So, really frustrating loss for Cowboys, but I'm way more confident that they'll play finals footy than I was maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. I was going, mate.
Yeah, to bring your darling mother back into it, Kempy, and get Debbie Downer on people. concerning thing is the left edge defence. It's their experienced defensive edge that's having troubles. Like you look at Lukey, Dearden, Val Holmes and Tao Lungi. In theory, that should be a really good defensive edge and has been for years. That's the side that got a hat-trick scored down on the weekend. The other side, which had the inexperience and a few new combinations, that was a lot better. Concerning moving forward.
Alrighty, on to the next game. Roosters defeat the Dragons. Look, you know, it sucks to say from a Dragons perspective. And look, it probably could have been closer. I do feel like that last, 25 minutes, it did blow out a bit. But in my opinion, like this was just, their roster's just way better. Like it genuinely, Dragons fought so hard. And I think that as a club, for 55 minutes they were in it. In a year's time, it might be 65 minutes or 70 minutes. In 2 years' time, it might be 80 minutes. But right now, they got to that back end of the game and the rosters are just, like, honestly, night and day, just too good.
On top of that, like, imagine being the Dragons getting ready to run out and JWH walks out. You've got a 1974 premiership winning team clapping him in. They're all making that. Like, there was just so much emotion in the stadium on that day, though. Poor old Dragons. Once the game kicked off, I just went. And, like, I thought they showed a bit of grit early.
100%.
But you just knew they're at millions here.
Like, if you want to see how much it meant to him, look what Victor Radley did to himself to try and stop a try. Like, that's how much it means to him. He is willing to throw his body into, like, guaranteed knockout just for the chance to stop a try. That's how much they care about Hargreaves at that club.
Victor the self-inflictor.
Oh, man.
Mate, that was madness.
That was pure madness. But that's what it means to him. That's what, bleeding for your brothers is all about, is you are willing to do anything because you respect that, Hargreaves so much that you'll put your body on the line like that. Pure madness. And absolute maniac.
In there, just said the Dragons' defence, they were blown away late in the game. The Roosters, it is what it is. They're a far better footy side than the Dragons at the moment, where they're at with their rosters. But 47 minutes in, Tui Pilotu scores. The scores were, I think, 14-12 at the time. Like, they were in it with them, and then they just blew them away late. And did they ever? But it's a good crack from a side who's, they're on the up.
Yeah. As I said, I know you look at the scoreline and it'd be a bit frustrating for Dragons, but, like, mate, to go tit for tat for 55 minutes with a lot of people's favourites to win the premiership, with a roster that is just like, this roster at fully fit is honestly, it's one of the craziest rosters I've ever seen. It's seriously insane. I think that's decent for the Dragons. I really do. And I'm not having low expectations for the Dragons or whatever. Like, you just look at the comparison and it just is what it is at the moment.
Yeah.
And also you consider that it was JWH's, most capped ever Roosters game.
Yeah, I'm not actually that critical of this performance from the Dragons, but a stat that I did want to note, they've won 8 games this year. It's just getting up for the following week and going back-to-back with good performances. So they've won 8. In 6 of those wins, they've gone on to lose the following week by an average margin of 29.7 points, which is substantial. Yeah,
look, I get that sucks. But from where they were as a club when the first ball was kicked to where they are now, I'll cop that any day of the week. Yeah. Any day of the week. Okay, in regards to performances, we've already spoken about Teddy, but got to speak about JWH. It couldn't be more poetic and beautiful to watch that bloke get sent 10 in the bin in his most capped game, come back on, have a head clash trying to shot someone, get subbed off and be yelling happily at the crowd as blood streams down his face. This is rugby league. That is rugby league. And I get it. People want to say grub this, grub that. We play a violent game. And sometimes we forget that. And he's an old school player. He's never taken a backward step to anyone. It couldn't be more fitting for what he did on the weekend. I know he wouldn't, in a perfect world, want to be sent off, but he's never going to change. He's trying to dominate the opposition.
I don't know about that.
So he want to get sent to the bin.
I mean, the way that he plays, yes, you don't want to get sent off, but he's made a career out of just pushing the envelope and making sure that you hate him. I just love it. You talk to anyone involved in rugby league that's had anything to do with him, they can't give him enough compliments as a bloke.
Yeah. Look, his job is to dominate the opposition, and if he gets sent off in the 10 in bin in the process, they're okay with that. The Roosters they've acknowledged he gives us so much positive We'll cop 10 in the bin every now and then.
The Roosters, in my opinion, the most ruthless club in this competition as far as if you're not doing a job for us, we will move you on and we will buy someone better, we'll bring someone in better. They've stuck with this guy for, 15 years now?
Incredible. In the middle there. What do you got there, Matty? Oh, okay. It's amazing. Like they've stuck, and he's in the middle there, and he's not a stats enforcer. Sorry, a stats front rower. He's a genuine aggro, aggressive, put your body through the absolute ringer every single week front rower.
It's going to be super interesting to see how they go without him next year. Because I remember it wasn't that it was a few years ago. There was a stat that they won 60% more games or something when he's playing than when
he's the heart of the pack.
Yeah,
he's the heart of the pack. Now I think Collins is the perfect man to step in and be that man next year. But Collins, even though he is also hyper aggressive, probably not as hyper aggressive.
Yeah,
he's more of a competitor. Aggressive, even though he still has his big dog moments. But yeah, what a game. What an entertainer. When he's walking off and blood streaming down his face, this is why we watch rugby league. You don't want anyone to get hurt or whatever. But at the same time, it's a violent sport. They're gladiators, and he's the biggest gladiator of them all.
I said a few weeks ago when I was down at the Canberra Raiders game as the Roosters walked off the field, Victor Radley scored the first try, was having a really good half, and JWH was sitting on the bike, and they walked straight past me. And first thing JWH did was just grab Radley, sort of grabbed him by the collar and pulled him over. And I think the words to him were calm the fuck down. And you just see Radley, he was a bit frazzled, and then Lindsay Collins came over and sort of, blah, blah, blah. But just the way that JWH went about, they were all over the Raiders that day. Radley was having a great game. And it's just he just pulled the right rein at the right moment. He might have been trying to get more out of Radley, I'm not too sure. But just the way he went about it, he is just a leader.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolute leader of men. So very, it's just good to see a bunch of blokes go out and you can see it in every second of the game how much it means to them, how much they care about someone. That is the ultimate show of respect. It's not words. It's not all this nonsense. Oh, I care about you so much, bro. It's going out there and showing how much you care. And the Roosters did that yesterday. In regards to performances, Angus Crichton, he'll be in Benny Hunt's nightmares for the rest of his life. He terrorised Ben Hunt all game long. He was so good. I feel sorry for Satilli having just signed an extension. Now he's being, going to the Dogs. I cannot wait to see Satilli at the Doggies. We actually didn't speak about it that much. I love that signing. If he can stay injury-free, he's exactly what they need. But Angus Crichton, I'm just so happy to see him back to his best. He is a monster on the edge.
Yeah, he's the best second row in rugby league, and for me right now it isn't close. Mate, I thought the other one too is State of Origin partner, Connor Watson. You look at Angus. He had 18 runs for 180 metres. Connor had 17 for 173.
Mate, he's playing so good at the moment, Connor Watson. I mean, even Connor was always good, a really good player.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if I saw this level in him. I saw him as a good utility, cover a bunch of positions. He's fast becoming, a genuine impact player, a genuine one of the best impact players in the competition. But then you say impact, he played 80 minutes.
Plays 80, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he's so good, you think he's an impact player.
Yeah.
Victor Radley, hopefully he's all good. That was crazy. Outside of that, I really like Victor Radley on the edge. Really solid, good defender. It also, the good thing about Radley on the edge, it keeps him out of the shit. So his head does it, he doesn't get too crazy and put himself in bad positions defensively. Because he's his own worst enemy. He's too tough. He's too crazy. So you put him on the edge, you get him out of that a little bit. I think he's been quite good. Lindsay Collins, outstanding, the big fella. But Sammy Walker, short kicking game once again. First try. Just goes, bomb, give me the ball. He landed that kick literally any centimetres to the left or to the right, it's not a try. He couldn't have landed it any more perfectly. You can see Flanagan has clearly watched video and been tipped up, watch a short kicking game, and he still landed it just out of his reach, but not too far where the attacker couldn't get to it. Was it Teddy? Who was it that got there?
Radley for the first try.
Yeah, just right on the spot where Radley would get to it first. That short kicking game is unbelievable.
And you could tell from the moment it touched his boot,
Perfect.
Nothing else was going to happen.
Yeah, and then he did it again for the Angus Crichton try. He did it off different feet. Pretty sure one was off left, one was off the right.
Yeah, the first one was off his wrong foot.
Have we got you on the we said he's the best form-wise short kicker in the game. Have we got you on it yet, or are you still the Cleary?
How short are we talking? Are we talking 40 metres?
We're talking grubbers in goal.
Okay. Short kicking game, I was thinking sort of like from 40 to try line. In which case I'm like Nathan Cleary's short kicking game there is
Just
unbelievable.
in the 20. Just say that. In the 20.
Yeah.
Red zone kicking.
Red zone kicking, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We gotcha?
You've got it. Red zone kicking.
Okay.
You can have it.
Okay, thank you.
I said it last week. The most impressive thing he does is how he jinks off his left, and because he can kick off both feet, he jinks before he kicks, and he just creates lanes for himself. Like, it's so hard to defend.
Well, because the lane is perfect. If he jinks or off his right or his left, and the defense comes up, so they're screaming up from the outside in. No matter what happens, if the outside defender gets in front of their inside defender, there will be a lane for a kick to get through. And it's brilliant because if they're flat, there is no lane. But because his footwork is so good, he creates the lane. But then it's also, if you've got a kicker like him, it reminds me a little bit of Alfie Langer, how good he was with those little kicks in behind. It doesn't matter how good the fullback is. It doesn't matter if his positioning is perfect. Matter of fact, the only way the fullback's going to stop it is if he's out of position. He's too far past the ball. Incredible stuff from Sam Walker.
And that's the big thing. When he jinks before he kicks, you change the fullback's body position.
He has to stop.
He has to stop. He gives him no choice, but then he lands the ball in the same spot anyway.
So, mate, yeah, Roosters looking red hot. Scary prospect with them coming into finals footy with, obviously, Tedesco not having to go through Origin. Looking at anyone else. Spencer Leniu, great impact. Terrell May, once again, just comes off the bench, does his job. 39 tackles, 0 misses, 2 offloads. 15 runs, 147 metres. So just an outstanding performance from the interesting. So Ethan King, is he a winger? Because he doesn't look like a winger.
Centre.
Fullback centre, okay. Because he doesn't look like your typical winger. Or
No, he's
move
not.
like it.
He's played centre from what I've seen this year in New South Wales Cup. And he's done really well there too, obviously. He's in first grade now.
Yeah. Look, I don't mind
good.
him coming on for just 6 minutes at the end. I know you want to get more on the bench, but look, you just ease him in. Make sure the game's won, then bring him on. So I didn't mind that. He's done it. He's played first grade. Congratulations. Okay, now on to the Dragons. As we were kind of mentioning before, the team they're playing is just red hot. Everything to play for. I will say I thought Sua's defence probably was a bit down on what it's been recently. He's missing quite a few tackles. So he might be running into a bit of fatigue. We remember he came back last week and he killed it. So he might be his work rate has been substantially up this year. We also have to remember that he was injured for most of last year. So he might be just running into a fatigue in the middle of the year. Outside of that, in regards to performances, I could tell Ben Hunt was getting a little bit frustrated with the men around him and getting to certain positions on the field. Bit of a mixed bag for Sloan for me. I just felt like they were going way too sideways, but not only were they going way too sideways, even when they did dig into the line, they weren't hitting short. There was no, they would go side to side, that wouldn't work, but they would be ball playing 5 to 10 metres before the line, and even when they did hit short, it was so predictable and very pedestrian. I don't know whether it was just a one-off, but I was a bit surprised at the fact they've been so good at their edge-back rowers of Sua and Leilua, hitting holes and creating spaces on the edges. I thought on the weekend there was just nowhere to be seen.
They asked very few questions of the Roosters. They looked comfortable the entire time.
But we know Flanagan and Hunt can dig into the line, but I just felt this game, they just weren't.
Maybe just put it down. I'm saying they looked rudderless in attack. They looked clunky, all those sorts of things. Maybe put it down to a good defensive team in the Roosters who were playing with so much energy, more so than normal off the back of Roy Hargreaves. Yeah, they're probably the one standout for me on the team. I thought Max Feeney had a really good game. I thought defensively he was quite solid, had a lot thrown at him, had an unbelievable line break coming off his own line that went straight through a couple of defenders. Had some really good moments.
Yeah, I like Max Feeney. Yeah. He just re-signed as well, so that's good for the club. Flano probably had one of his not as good games for the year. 18 tackles, 9 missed. So they clearly were targeting him. So he was a bit quiet this game. Look, it's hard to be too critical of him though, because I just think this Roosters side is just a substantially better side on paper.
Yeah.
What about you, Roo? What do you think?
I thought the Luciano Leilua was all right yesterday. To be fair, when I look back at his stats, they aren't as impressive as I thought he was, but I thought he had a good game for the Dragons. He just adds a little bit of X factor to him.
I just wanted him to. I like the fact that there were times where he was kind of like, running side, just creating danger and, running sideways, offloading, stepping. I did like that, but I just sometimes with him, I want 2 or 3 hard unders lines, just to get the defence in 2 minds. And he did it every now and then. Not pretending like he didn't. Like they were trying to target Sam Walker at times, but I just don't know whether they targeted their halves enough. I felt like it was just too lateral. But look, the Dragons for me, like outside of the Bulldogs, I think they've come so far as a club. It's actually crazy. And, although they lost on the weekend, they do look like a side that's genuinely believing, wow, we can make an impact this year. And also they're exciting to watch at times. The one knock I had on the Dragons in the last few years is like, I just wasn't getting up and excited about them. There wasn't much going on. Whereas, yeah, are they inconsistent? They are. But at least there's something there happening, you know? They're not playing it safe all the time. They're actually trying things. So we'll see how they go next week. Knights defeat the Raiders 16-12. Look, Raiders super gritty in this game, as they always are. I think that they're just in a position where you looked at the Knights when they were attacking the Raiders line, how slick and smooth it all looked. When the Raiders get good ball, it's tough. Like, it's just not slick. Most of their points are probably going to come through the middle because on the edges there, unfortunately, they're desperate to get Fogarty back into that 7 jersey because it's just they're creating opportunities and they're hanging in games and building a good foundation, but just when they get into good ball, it's just not that slick.
And it's the same thing every week, mate. I just don't want to repeat myself over and over and over again, but it is like we struggle for points, we struggle in attack, our ball movement, particularly in their opposition red zone, it's not terrific. Like in this game, I thought the Raid, both sides in the first half, completed really high. It was a real grind that first half, like quite a good half of footy, but I just coming up a side with like Kalen Pong and Greg Marju who have points coming out their woo-ha, we like polish and attack.
Do you think Ko Wicks can be the fullback until Chevy is right, or even long term?
Potentially, yeah. I think he's been a standout, certainly in attack in recent times, particularly since Jamal Fogarty's been down. 258s essentially in attack. Since he's been out, it doesn't really work, but that's not Weeks' fault. I was a bit critical of Weeks coming into the year, but he's lightning quick. I don't know how quick he was coming into this year, but I think he's shown that with some work to his game, long term, I think he can potentially be a fullback.
Well, that sounded like a broken record as well. I don't understand how this forward pack plays a whole tight game like that. They come up with one offload.
Was it one?
One offload for the forward pack.
Again, something I've been so critical of all year. If you don't have this ball movement coming out, like when you're attacking their line, and you've got a really good forward pack and powerful, dynamic forward pack, use your offload. Get Weeks slotting around the ruck. Get Jordan Rapana supporting. That's where your points are going to come from.
Well, what I guess it's going to be hard to knock Ricky on this, but I guess the question for me is that does he lean too heavily into a tough, gritty side? Now, that sounds stupid because that's what makes the Raiders great. They're so tough. They're so gritty. They're playing the best footy when they're conservative to a degree, getting through the middle, winning the ruck. But then when you watch a game like that and you're like, surely at least give 1 or 2 players a bit of license to play in the middle because, again, on the edges you're not going to score that many points because the spine, blah, blah, I speak about it a million times.
And you still have calculated offloads without going away from the game plan and being high completion. There are times where, like a Joe Tarpany or Josh Papali'i have the ball and there's no one on them and they're just sort of happy to go to ground. There's obviously this directive, boys, let's just complete, turned into that grind. You can still, there are high percentage offloads. I don't really understand it.
And it's tough because, on one hand, we praise Ricky for this squad on paper in key positions. Some probably shouldn't compete with the top tier sides, but they do because they're so gritty, they're so tough. I just think it's maybe finding a little bit of that balance and almost kind of admitting like, okay, we're not going to score that much points out wide, so let's use Tarpany and Papali'i with these great offloads and great footwork at the line. Get KO Weeks sniffing around the ruck. That's going to be your strength is through the ruck. I mean, you look at these stats from these boys. Tarpany couldn't play any harder every week. So Tarpany, 54 minutes, 18 runs, 197 metres, 95 post-contact, 39 tackles and 1 offload. And then you got Papali'i, 14 runs, 154 metres, 63 post contact, 2 tackle breaks, a line break, 26 tackles. Like, they're winning the ruck. They're winning contact. So I think take advantage of that, maybe.
I think you let them offload a bit more. I think it changes a lot. I really do.
And especially with KO Weeks, so fast, so quick. And then you got Savage there as well. Get him sniffing around the ruck. And Chevy Shaw, when he's ready, like, he's going to be perfect for that. You never want to think offload first, but surely you have sets where you go, all right, we've got a bit of field position here where we've kicked return and we've landed on the 40. Surely have a call of, call it taps or whatever. And basically for that set, Chevy and forwards look for the offload. Like, for this set, we've got field position here, so it's not coming out of our own end. We're not putting too much pressure on ourselves. And basically, if you feel there is going to be an offload, take it. Don't even think twice, just take it. I know it's a little bit risky and you'll be frustrated, but
you can even see, like, when they go into contact, like, when the Raiders are at their best, to me, you can see them fighting for offloads. They're not even, like, it's like, I think Ricky's told them, do not offload that football.
He's definitely a directive. There's no way there's not.
But I don't understand why they're leaning away from what they do so well.
I don't get it either. Like, you got to score points somewhere, and I feel like we've got the third worst amount of tries per game with 3.4, funnily enough, ahead of the Knights and Tigers. And I feel like a lot of those have come off kicks and things like that. You got to score points somewhere.
It's funny because, like, I wish if you could take this and you could plug it into the Broncos and just say, boys, if you do that, because we have the backs to score a million points.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, it's a hard one though, because that's what keeps you in games so much, is that tough grittiness, that foundation. So it's a tough one. I thought Timoko, once again, 18 runs, 202 metres, 80 post contact, 6 tackle breaks, 25 tackles in centre with 0 misses. Jeez, he's a bloody good centre. 0 errors. Savage has been a bit quiet for me over the last month. I felt like he's come so far this year, and I just think he's having a little bit of a lull at the moment. What do you reckon, Timmy?
Yeah, gone quiet.
Yeah.
Again, I think just there are times where, because we don't move the ball that well, wingers will have limited opportunities. Get them involved in the game. Like we said, get them in sniffing around the ruck, finding offloads, that sort of stuff.
Another thing that I thought was great, I know we had an error, and look, he's not necessarily, he's not Joey Johns or whatever, but Adam Cook, 22 kicks, 680 metres. Like, I know he's not Joey, but that's nothing to sniff at.
His boot is enormous.
That's some really nice moments, Cookie, in this one.
And so, like, you can build on that. Like, when you've got Weeks and Strange, you don't have anywhere near that kicking game. And so, I don't know, I think that it's worth sticking with him until Fogarty gets back. And then if, obviously, Fogarty gets injured again, like, it's worth, at least in a preseason maybe, him being the backup, and who knows what he could be. How old, do you know how old he is? Was he early in his career, late?
He's been around a little bit. I think Cookie went to the Warriors for a little bit and came back.
Yes.
Maybe early to mid-20s. It
says he's 23.
Oh, plenty of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, okay, that's good.
Fog, are we expecting him back after the bye?
I believe so. If not, then very close to it.
Okay, sweet.
Now, onto the Knights. Geez, that line break with Kalen Pong with that footwork, you're just going, so good. What I found the most interesting and what I really liked for the Knights, now don't get me wrong, I feel like they definitely, like, Will Price, some of the decisions he made, you're just going, bro, that's, unfortunately, it's just not NRL standard. Like, you just cannot afford to be doing that in the NRL. And obviously, rightly so, he's in his second or third NRL game. It'll take time to roughen, to smooth out the edges. And so hopefully he's learned a lesson in this game, because you just cannot afford to do that. It just puts too much pressure on you. And even in the end there, it wasn't just him as well. Like, I think Kalen Ponga, game was on the line, takes it down the short side, and then he dropped the ball instead of kicking it long. Like, so it's not just him, not just Price, but so there were parts of the game for sure where I was like, Knights, you're killing yourselves here. You've got the game in the bag, like, just finish it off. But what I did like is their first try, they used KP as a decoy. They went the opposite side to him. Gagai goes over. But then I liked even better later in the game, they've got a literal play set up with KP is the decoy, and Gagai comes sweeping around from the other end and gets the ball out the back from out of nowhere, and it just opens up because everyone's looking at KP. And if they can mix those two together by using KP as a distraction, but also obviously using KP as because he's so good in attack, I like that from the Knights.
There's a good footy side in Newcastle.
Something there.
It just, mate, that last 20 minutes, like with all due respect to the Raiders, if Newcastle hold the ball, I reckon that they could have put a fair whack of
I
tries
couldn't believe
on
what
the
I was
way.
watching. I'm just going, because I had the commentary off. I was just watching it. And I am just going like, I don't know what the commentators are saying, but I cannot believe it's like they wanted to lose.
Yeah. That inability to close out the game, like that said, that 2 minutes to go, KP running it on fifth on halfway is just like,
What?
somebody kicked the freaking ball. Like, what are you thinking?
And he knocked it on too. Like heart attack stuff.
Oh, I'll say this about Will Price. I was absolutely pulling my hair out this afternoon watching that last 20 minutes, some of the plays he came up with. But my biggest concern about Will Price coming to first grade was defence. 31 tackles. He only missed one.
I haven't watched him and said, oh shit, his defence is no
He's
good.
been really good. Yeah.
It's the only thing I look at now and go, just that the stuff that you can kind of just get away with in New South Wales Cup in regards to, I'm just going to throw this cutout ball or this crazy offload or whatever. You just can't. Like, you just can't do that.
There's a great photo of after the game, Leon Price, his old boy, he obviously came over for the debut last week, still around this week. Leon and Elliot Whitehead played together over the Catalan Dragons, would have been probably a tick under 10 years ago now. The boys catching up while Elliot plays against his son. Awesome.
Crazy. So good. What about Elliot Whitehead's intercept? The old wily veteran.
Mate, that was such a big play. If
That's
he doesn't
huge.
get that, that's a try. Kai Pearce-Paul would have had his first NRL try.
Huge.
Jade won last week.
What I like about
Kai
Will
Pearce-Paul.
Price.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Will
No,
Price.
sorry.
What I like about Price, though, is that, okay, yep, rough around the edges, but I tell you what, if he can build and build, and as he will, it's his freaking first year over here, the excitement with him and KP in the same side and the ability to attack from anywhere, it's a great combination.
Will Price?
Yeah.
Oh, my
Like,
goodness.
him and KP in the same spine, if he can build into the player we think he can, like, the points will not be an issue for the Knights.
No.
And Hastings then can do exactly what he's supposed to do, which is play really, really conservative, kick the ball where he needs to get it to, and then when he gets in good ball, just get the ball into Price's and KP's hands and just take a step back.
So exciting.
So it's good for the Knights. We've already spoken about him, but Dan Gagai, mate, 2 tries, 24 runs, 213 metres, 63 post contact, 10 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, 2 offloads, 10 tackles, no errors, like
Roaming centre.
roaming centre. And
How good was that try?
Oh.
Holy shit.
mate, get him doing more of that.
There are not many tries that get me excited against the Raiders, but when a centre decides to roam and they pull off a play like that, that was poetry in motion.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so, mate, Gagai for me, like, he is one of my most enjoyable players to watch play NRL because there's never a game whether he's playing good or bad. He's always in the fight. He's always trying. Like, every time he runs the ball, he's trying to genuinely score a try. Whether he's coming out of his own end or he's down theirs, he's genuinely trying to make a line break to score a try.
Really interesting this week. The Newcastle Knights take on the Manly Seagulls. When you have a look at their back five from the weekend, they'll be without KP, Tuala, Gagai, and Bradman Best. So Fletcher Sharp will come in. You assume Dill Lucas, centre.
Jeez, it was weird on the weekend when there was the injury to Tuala and they picked, well, you'd think Fletcher Sharp on the bench as cover, and they moved Dylan Lucas out there instead of bringing on the backline covering Fletcher Sharp. Confused the shit out of me.
Maybe they had Fletcher there as cover for KP.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe if, you know what, maybe Adam O'Brien was like, look, if we get a big lead, I'll pull KP off.
Yeah, but Fletcher Sharp, like he's played bits and pieces of wing in New South Wales Cup.
Yep.
It was so weird, but shows the confidence they have in Dylan Lucas.
Yeah. Mate,
He's
how
such a
good's
handy player.
He's a
Dylan.
bloody handy player, and he's not going to break the bank, but he's going to cover a bunch of positions. You can play him in the middle if you have to, edge, back row, centre, and also when he's on, he can run for 200 metres and score a try.
He's a Newcastle boy too.
Dylan Lucas?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is, isn't he?
No, I think he's Narooma.
Oh, really?
Mighty Narooma Devils.
Well, he was playing local grade there not long ago.
Yeah, Bega boy.
Yeah, right, okay.
Anyone else stand out for you, boys?
No.
No, I think that covers it, mate.
Mate, the amount of work Kai Pearce-Paul gets through, 40 tackles on the edge with only 3 misses.
You don't really notice it either. For how big he is, you don't notice it.
Mate, if you told me Kai Pearce-Paul's going to come over here and he's going to be a workhorse, I would have said that's literally not what he's been purchased for. I would have said he's going to do crazy offloads, he's going to be all that silly stuff. That's what's exciting for Kai Pearce-Paul is when that other stuff clicks, look what you're going to be. He'll be a highlight machine.
If anything, he kind of frustrates me that you never see the offload.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
really, really conservative, but I like that. He's building into his game. He's doing it in a smart way rather than just going out there going, well, this is my strength and I'm only going to focus on my strength. He's focusing on all the other stuff. So it's good stuff. So, look, good win for the Knights. I'll tell you what, in a year that, Knights for me have never really looked like I've gone, oh, wow, this is the same Knights as last year. Mate, they played 16 games. They're on 20 points, so that's equal 8th with the Cowboys. They are in a position, if they want to fight for finals footy towards the end of the year. That's a pretty good knock, in my opinion, considering they lost KP for the amount of time they did as well.
Last guy I'd touch on, I mentioned the boys in the cafe before, mate. I reckon Matty Croker is so underrated. I would be finding him a spot in my 17 every single week, and I reckon there'd be a number of clubs that could sign him as a 13. He'd be a great signing.
Alrighty, that is us done and dusted. Make sure subscribe to SC Playbook, Rugby League Guru, and as usual, and also Monday 6 p.m. Green and Gold drop is coming. That's the 22nd of July, so not the Monday coming, but the Monday after. And as usual, we'll all go fuck ourselves. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.